traffic control, shut it down.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, July 2nd, 2023. This is your award-winning Get One Nation Media Assassination episode 1569.
This is No Agenda.
Lootin', tootin', splootin', and broadcasting live from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all wondering, what the hell is Bidenomics? I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
We know what that is. It's where they rape the country and funnel it through Ukraine and get rich. And we get nothing.
That could be it.
We get inflation. I know. I think they got some Bidenomics going on in France.
Well, before we get to that.
Oh, okay. Because I've got a great backgrounder with lots of sound effects.
Because I want to we got the 4th of July weekend.
Yes, we are working here. 4th of July weekend. Hello,
so I want to do a couple of 4th of July things first.
Oh, okay.
And just to show that the, whatever money we make on this show doesn't compare to what they make, even on the lowly third hour of the Today Show, where Roker's there with his friends, Dylan and Sherelle, and this guy named
Sue
Chun.
Yes.
So this is I got two parts. This is the first. This is the first part, and first
Wait a
this
minute,
is kind of a root.
You're not going to tell me they were actually live today, were they?
No, this is on Friday.
Oh, okay. Oh, because they're not working today.
Of course not. Sunday.
They're not working tomorrow either. Or Tuesday.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. Okay.
Roker makes $10 million, you know.
Are you jealous?
Yeah.
He's also half dead.
4th of July, part 1. And this is just a little lead into what this clip's all about. But I had to play it because there's a little gotcha in here that's kind of interesting.
2 million spectators expected in person to watch the fireworks. In person across, rooftops, on the actual Brooklyn Promenade, those types of places. But then lastly, I got to shout out the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, right? 76, that is the record for the most amount eaten in that contest.
Can you imagine at one time?
It's one of the most disgusting things, but you can't look away.
I can look away.
I tune in every year.
And then every year he comes here and he sweats hot dog.
There you go.
Get the sweat.
Look at that.
Yeah, he gets the sweat. And it smells like hot dog.
There's a lemonade chugging contest, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You got some numbers about the history of Independence Day.
I do. Well, of course, it's important to remember exactly what we're celebrating here. So 56, that is the number of signatures on the Declaration of Independence. John Hancock took up a lot of real estate.
Right.
Maybe there could have been more. But we also got 1931 here. That is the national anthem. That was the year that it became official. And this is interesting. I didn't know this.
Okay, so the guy goes on like a maniac. Now, you invite somebody over to your show and you discuss the fact that they stink?
Well, it's an ad. It's the Nathan's Hot Dog annual ad.
Well, they threw the ad in, but they bring this guy in as a guest.
Yeah.
And I guess, which makes some sense, he stinks to high heaven. He exudes hot dog.
Yeah, he's the dog gobbler.
He exudes through his pores.
Okay,
it's gross.
I can't wait for the next
this got nothing to do with that. So this next part is the relative lack of education of the millennials is exhibited in this next clip. Here we go.
13 taps on the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. They do that to represent each of the 13 colonies. They do this on July 4th. It doesn't. I don't know if it makes the crack bigger on the bell. I hope.
No, I don't think so.
It should be fine.
What's the big number?
The big number I got here is actually August 2nd, 1776. Not to do the full history lesson here, but the reason why I put August 2nd here is because that's the date that the Declaration was actually signed, but it was approved officially on July 4th. So that's why we celebrate it on the 4th. So maybe, is that an excuse to have two barbecues?
2nd, also my birthday.
And it's for Dylan Dreyer, of course.
To celebrate.
And on August 3rd, they actually got 3 faxes of it, so it was pretty good.
There we go.
What? I don't get
It's a joke. They didn't have faxes back then.
I know, but I don't.
I went along. I went along with it.
Yeah,
I went along with it. So I got you out.
I appreciate it.
I got you out. I got you.
Thank you very much.
Right over.
Okay.
All right. First of all, you're right. It's an outrage they're making so much money for that. I mean, to not know
I'm
that.
glad you got that part. But so he says they faxed it, and the 3 millennials there.
Not a single one figures out that August comes after July.
No, not a single one figures out fax machines did not exist in the 1700s.
Well, that was a joke.
He had to say it was a joke because the two women...
They don't know what a fax machine is.
They know what a fax machine is, but they didn't know it. They were befuddled. The black girl's looking back and forth like, what's going on here? The white blonde is making the over her head movement, and the Chinese guy says, I was going along with it, Al.
And they say affirmative action is good. I mean, seriously.
And so you I didn't see any, did not, well,
yeah,
it was just beyond me that this was like, these people...
Okay. Well, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something here. So the whole problem I had with this segment is what I learned from the No Agenda newsletter is it was supposed to be July 2nd, not August 2nd.
No, he never said. No, the August 2nd was what they claim was the last signature finally went on the document.
Okay.
I did mention in there that the document was backdated.
Wow.
And the August 2nd
backdated. Yeah.
proves that it was backdated.
Well, thank you.
July 2nd was the official date at the beginning, but they changed it.
All right. So, of course, this was the beginning of the Republic, and we took the Republic from the French. See, I'm going to bring it around now. We modeled it after the French Republic, and let's check in and see how they're doing.
Tonight, France is a country on the edge as another wave of violent protest erupts across the nation. Demonstrators outraged following the death of 17-year-old Nael, who was shot by a police officer during a traffic stop. Over 900 people were arrested on the third night of protests, according to France's Interior Ministry, as tens of thousands of riot police descend on cities and towns throughout the country. French towns were set ablaze, thousands of buses and cars burned, fireworks launched at police, some stores in central Paris looted. The construction site of the 2024 Olympic pool also engulfed in flames. Nael's mother led a march in their hometown with scores of people chanting "Justice for Nael." Speaking out in an interview on French TV, she said, "I don't blame the police. I blame one person, the one who took my son's life. That officer charged with homicide, and he's currently in custody." The French government attempting to regain control by suspending all public transportation today in anticipation of more riots. France's President Emmanuel Macron calling on parents to help stop the chaos, saying a third of those arrested last night were young people, sometimes very young. It's the parents' responsibility to keep them at home. Macron blaming social media for fueling the frenzy, but he's also facing backlash online after attending an Elton John concert amid the nationwide unrest. French officials desperate to quell the violence, but bracing for another night of destruction as the nation continues in turmoil.
Social media, video games, they could have thrown in Netflix. Netflix literally had a French movie. Did you hear about this? Called Athena, which had almost this exact same plot. And I think a lot of it is a plot. It's so recognizable. Justice for the kid, police brutality,
it's just a reflection
racism,
of
Black
what we're
Lives
trying to
Matter.
do.
Yeah, but there's also some State Department funny business going on with this.
I'm going to make a correction.
Yeah, I know what I said it wrong. The Republic the French Republic came after the Revolutionary War. Is that the correction?
Yeah, the French Republic was 10 years later.
Yeah.
And that was a short version. The longer version took place later. But I did appreciate your creativity.
Thank you. I was just trying to get
in the segue,
I was trying to
which
get
we
out
normally don't do.
I was trying to get out of the hot dogs. I didn't know. I mean, the hot dogs was weird. I was trying to help us here. Just trying to do something, to do my bit for humanity.
I'm just complaining about the fact that the American public is being led by the nose by these overpaid morning hosts.
Okay, get over it. Come on. Let's get back to wokeism. Which there's this troublemaker in France. She's also writing for The Guardian, Rokhaya Diallo. And, she's thrown a lot of wokeism stuff out there. Oh, it's all racism. It's structural racism, institutional racism. It's like America's racism.
Whatever we say.
Yeah. She was taught by the State Department, by our State Department. I think there's a little bit in here, a little bit of possibly, let's get rid of Macron. He's not on board with everything.
Regime change.
A little bit of regime change going on because, he was right up Xi's butt.
He was also buddying up to Putin.
Putin's butt. Exactly. Now, of course, this was easy to do. This tinderbox has been around in France since the 70s. The banlieue, as they call it. When they had, they got all the North African immigrants. Of course, they had a right because it was, French colonies. And they came in and said, "Hey, we've got some nice apartment buildings for you."
Yeah, they put them outside in La Défense and those other places.
Yeah, they put them in nice apartment buildings. And now we've got third generation maybe. There's no jobs.
No jobs. That's a real issue. They won't give them work.
Yeah, and actually, there was a funny way that this was put on CBS.
What's the sentiment towards the police right now in France?
There is a lot of distrust, and the way the violence spread from the first night from the suburb of Nanterre, which has a high immigrant population, a high number of social housing projects, it spread to similar suburbs around the country. Places like Marseille, where there's already a huge gangland problem, to Lille, where the immigrant population that first arrived in the 50s and 60s was put in new suburbs. And they now have had children, some grandchildren, who've grown up in the system and don't understand why Mohammed cannot get the job that Pierre is getting. And so there's huge unemployment, particularly among young men in these areas. And that's why a lot of them are around and unhappy and have nothing else to do, frankly.
So it looks like Macron is, he's definitely blaming all of this on social media. And, we need to shut that down. And the video games is my favorite, of course. So when they buried this kid, this is where the first social media ban started.
The French Arab teenager Niall has been laid to rest. Hundreds of people turned out for his funeral in the Paris suburb of Nanterre, where he was shot dead. Some rode scooters alongside the hearse as it drove from a mosque to a nearby cemetery. Many shouted "Justice for Niall." Our Paris correspondent Lucy Williamson reports on the funeral.
Beside the discreet barricades outside the cemetery in Nanterre, a small crowd waited for Niall's funeral cortege. There was more tension than talking. All filming, even on phones, was banned. No Snapchat, no Insta, mourners were told.
No Insta!
The message to journalists was starker. Get a camera out at your peril.
This is a social problem, but not social media. It's socialism. And this is going to happen all across Europe. And it's like the Netherlands, man. It's going to kick off in the Netherlands. This is the same thing's going to happen. You got a large Moroccan population, really running crime, a lot of it. It's not going to take much. It really won't.
I got the PBS report of this, and it just seems to, there's only 31 seconds, so they're obviously not playing it up.
Why not? That's interesting. Let's listen.
French President Emmanuel Macron has canceled a state visit to Germany after the fourth night of riots across France. Protesters set fires, turned vehicles over, and looted businesses. Police said they made more than 1,300 arrests overnight. The protests were sparked by the police killing on Tuesday of a 17-year-old boy of North African descent who's been identified only as Nahel. The teen was buried today in the Paris suburb of Nanterre, where he lived and where police shot him during a traffic stop.
Yeah, PBS hasn't gotten any messages yet. And I'm just thinking about the activists trained by the State Department, and it kind of reminds me of something that one of our prominent State Department members said, let me see, about 9 years ago. I think that's still in play. They don't care. They're pushing it. They're pushing it. They're pushing it. They're pushing it. It's like Les Miserables. I'm waiting for the Les Miserables comparisons. Les Mis.
Yeah, that's too intellectual.
There's some of it's going on. France, by the way, just announced, or Macron announced, that he was building a new military hospital to prepare France for a possible high-intensity war. I don't know if it lost something in the translation, but maybe this is the high-intensity war he was talking about. The UK is also building mega hospitals. Everyone's building mega hospitals. Somehow I don't think it's for war outside of these countries. And again,
it could be for a pandemic.
Could be for that, or just locking a whole bunch of people up. I mean, I don't know.
There prisons for that.
They're kicking stuff off, man. Let's listen to the BBC again about Macron's popularity.
Well, President Macron has now postponed a state visit to Germany that was due to begin on Sunday to deal with this crisis, which comes after months of protests over his contested pension reforms. David Chazan, a reporter in Paris, told us more about the challenges the French president faces.
Trying to quell the rage on the streets appears to be gobbling up every bit of his attention. And he's relying on the police, but many of them are angry too. As they see it, he was too quick to condemn the officer accused of the shooting that triggered the chaos. I'm not sure they've all forgiven him for that yet, even though he's toughened what he's saying about the rioters. And now he's appealing to parents to keep teenagers at home and stop them joining the riots. But this is hardly a good look for a head of state, and it makes it easy for the far right and the far left, who are now the main opposition, to accuse him of weakness, of failing to come up with ideas. There's a sense that he's casting around for solutions, even that he's growing desperate. And President Macron is also hampered by his unpopularity after forcing through those hated pension reforms without a parliamentary vote.
Yeah, he's out. But who's in is the question.
Oh, there'll be some other loser like Hollande, that guy.
Oh, I've forgotten all about him. Whatever happened to our Belgian friend? Remember that guy? Haiku Herman? He was fun. Herman van Rompuy, the Belgian guy.
Would like, there's never been a good report or explanation for why the shooting took place.
What, the shooting of this kid?
Yeah.
Well, there is. There was a traffic. Well, you're right. There's never a good report. There's only reports. It was a traffic stop, and he shot him in the head.
I know the basics. There was a traffic stop, and then the kid started to drive off, and they shot him through the window.
Yeah.
This doesn't. This is.
There's video. You see the video of it.
You see a video from a distance. It's from the other side of the car.
Yeah.
The explanation, we never heard from the cops.
Who needs an explanation? Who cares?
Well, that's the point. This whole thing is an op.
Yes, and I think we're partially behind it. U.S. State Department. Yes, it's an op. Also, what has France done for the Ukraine war? Nothing. What have they sent over?
No, let's go back to freedom fries.
Yeah. Oh, man. Forgot all about that. Do we have freedom? No, I guess we don't have a freedom fries.
No, I think that was before.
Before the show.
The Iraq War 1.
Yeah. So let's just stick with Europe. So now we have the Netherlands. They're cranking everything up in the Netherlands with institutional racism because, as you know, the Dutch were the ones who shipped the slaves.
And they also had Black Pete.
Well, no, the Black Pete was the entrance into this whole conversation. Now they have Zeeland, and Zeeland is kind of this like it's on the coast. It's down south, not too far, but it's down south-ish, and it's where you can go on vacation. It's kind of picturesque little villages. But now we have a new narrative that that was the center of the racism. This is where they packed up the slaves, 270,000 of them, and then the slaves tried to get out, and then they locked them down. They closed everything off, and 270,000 slaves suffocated to death. And the Dutch are bad, and they need money. Money needs to go to the slaves because it's still hurting people today. It's the exact same Black Lives Matter, the same thing as the institutional racism in France. Britain's about to get it. And it's a tinderbox. Right now, the tinderbox is lit mainly because of the farmers who are again out, and they're getting desperate. Now they're really, really ready to fight. They had another big protest. I believe there is a version of martial law has been declared, or emergency measures, which, whenever there's an emergency measure, then, they can basically kill you. It's the same here, of course. And by the way, how's that? Remember when that Dutch, the party of the farmers, they won the elections. They were going to save everybody. How's that going?
How is it going?
Yeah, because that was bull crap. So now they're getting smart, the farmers and the people who support the farmers, which is a large majority of the Dutch. Unless they block the roads, then the Dutch are like, hey, I support you, but you're blocking my way. They're doing little videos. Here's a video compilation of some farmers, some economists, and there's one lone parliament member. You'll pick him out immediately. He's the guy saying tough shit.
Come down. Our country is based on agriculture.
Why? Need to go. My cows? Why? My farm. Need to close?
Everyone has someone in their family who was once a farmer.
The manure is in the Netherlands, which is ammonia, which is a form of nitrogen, which is bad for the environment, bad for nature.
They have declared that nitrogen is the major problem. Well, I'm an expert in nitrogen, and I dare to say it is not.
It's a crock of shit.
We are actually discussing waving goodbye to our farmers.
20 years ago, you would not have dreamt that this would have happened.
We had a lot of problems with nitrogen rules because our farm is near to and in Nature 2000.
These are hardworking people. They're paying taxes. They've worked their land for sometimes 10, 15 generations.
I think the political system, like we have it in the Netherlands now, is totally broken.
They are really suffering.
6 farmers have actually hanged themselves because of this new policy.
Farmers have to reduce the use of nitrogen.
Our government did say we need to reduce 95% of nitrogen in this Nature 2000 area.
Our intention is to explain why this is so important for them and for nature, but not to change the goals of the policy. That's not the case. It's not going to happen.
They have created a huge problem for themselves, and the farmers are now really angry.
We're wasting billions and billions on a nightmare.
Government has to do what the government has to do sometimes, which is painful. But there is also 25 billion euro for a small country as the Netherlands to help farmers to get a better life, to help nature, to restore.
The facts they use are not connecting together.
We have a food shortage, a water shortage, an energy shortage. It's catastrophe upon catastrophe. The farmers are targeted. And why are the farmers targeted? Because they have land.
They need to build houses. They need to build factories. They have to build highways.
They're not even hiding it.
So here's the statistic that kind of blew me away. 1 million Dutch, and there's only, 17 million in the country. And the Dutch is, if not close to, I think, the number one exporter of food products in the world from agriculture. 1 million Dutch people have to rely on the food bank. They cannot afford food, and soon there's not going to be food because the 8th nitrogen directive, or as they call it, the nitrate directive, says these millions of hectares cannot be used for farming. The only thing that can be grown there is flax, and the flax will be used to build the homes that will be in that same area. Did you know that flax is used for building materials?
No.
Yeah, I think it was a thing a long time ago, but it's back. You can. I think instead of drywall.
You have to look into it.
Yeah, no, it's no. The resurgence of flax. This is from 2023 as a building material. It's environmentally friendly, and I'll bet it does well in the rain. But
is it for thatched roofs? Is it the stuff on the roof?
Well, flax makes linen, and
linen, yeah,
lots of other things. But apparently, softwood. It creates a softwood, so it's like a compressed board.
Probably particle board.
This is going to be great. So the Dutch, especially the farmers, they're mad. They are so mad. It's a state of emergency.
They're being scammed.
They are being. Well, the whole country is being scammed. And I have a Dutchism for you that
By the way, before you do the Dutchism, this is the classic example. People, capitalism is terrible. This is an example of what happens when you interfere with the market, when you interfere with natural capitalism.
Exactly.
You end up with these situations that are horrible. It's all socialism now.
Or as the Netherlands, complete socialist country. Or as the Dutch would say, daar zakt mijn broek vanaf. Makes my pants fall down. I have no idea where it comes from.
If you don't get enough food.
Exactly. So to complement this issue, I came across an interview with Dr. Patrick Moore, one of the co-founders of Greenpeace. You'll remember. I don't know if anyone else remembers. I think it was, must have been 9 or 10 years ago when he left Greenpeace and did this whole video, anti-Greenpeace. He was pro.
Yeah, he left it in a huff.
Yeah, and he's pro-nuclear. And I think there was he co-produced a CNN documentary. I can recall seeing it going to the Alamo Draft House to see it. There was like one other person there. And, showed that nuclear was the way to go. And, so he's been completely thrown out by the Greenies, but he was the co-founder of Greenpeace. And he did an interview with, what's the guy's name? Patrick Bet-David, I think. The podcaster, PPBD. And he explains exactly what this nitrogen bullcrap is about and why it's being done.
I can tell you one thing that explains why there went from 4 billion to 8 billion, for example.
Why?
It's called the Haber-Bosch process. It won 2 Nobel Prizes in the early 1900s. It was a formula, a technological process involving very high heat and very high pressure, an extremely complicated process, which was able to combine nitrogen from the atmosphere with natural gas to make ammonia. That ammonia is the basis of all the nitrogen fertilizer being used in the world's agriculture today. It results in at least a doubling of crop production. And that is why we see this news today about Sri Lanka banning nitrogen fertilizer and Netherlands now basically banning much of the nitrogen fertilizer. And this is the biggest threat we have right now to an immediate starvation situation in the world. Food shortage. You hear it said.
That's where I'm going.
The odd time.
Yeah.
But the reason it's self-inflicted, this food shortage. Nitrogen, the air has 70% of the air is nitrogen. We could take nitrogen out of the air for the next million years and make fertilizer because it all goes back into the air again eventually. Same with the carbon dioxide.
If we double 2 more times, we got 32 billion people here. We can't have 32 billion people in the world.
In other words, we won't double it to 32. If we can't have it, we won't go there. Why we can't get there.
So let's speculate. Tell me what you mean by that.
What I mean is today, people are getting wealthier. The number of people living in poverty as a percentage of the population is much smaller now than it was 20, 30, 50 years ago. Yeah. When we reach a position where more and more people are going into poverty and starving to death, we will know we're coming close to that limit. How else are you going to find out unless you artificially reduce the population by cutting off the fossil fuels and by cutting off the nitrogen fertilizer? That's what the real problem is today. I'm saying this is a self-inflicted wound that we are dealing with right now. And it's a real problem because I can see this, that these powerful elites like Schwab and on down, they want control of the world. They want control of everybody. Now, what do do they want? They want fewer people. They think it's already too many, I think. That's what they've been saying in the United Nations for a long time. But the facts don't bear that out, because less and less people are living in poverty, and our knowledge of agriculture is growing, our knowledge of genetics is growing, and we're able to grow way more food now than we were then. And food is the basis of how many people can be here.
Yeah, I like that theory. They're just going to starve us to death. They've tried everything else.
What? You know, the entire world's population could be shoved into Texas.
Oh yeah, but of course,
there's lots of room. Is the point?
Hey, but you know what? Let's shove it into California. All right, keep it out of Texas.
Texas is bigger.
Yeah, Dad, we don't need that. But the point is there. The point is, there's enough. As long as there's enough food, it won't be a problem. But they are literally taking away the food by removing nitrogen and by removing. And boy, didn't we see some of those issues during the pandemic? We haven't forgotten. So it seems to me that they're just trying to slowly kill everybody. I mean, isn't that what the population bomb people have been about since the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't been wanting to kill people per se. They want the population to stop growing.
Right, but now that's not worked. We've tried reason with these slaves, and now the Frans Timmermans, our boy there, my boy who never answers my phone calls anymore, who's in charge of the EU Green Deal. He says, we should have international talks on the dangers and governance of geoengineering.
Well, before you go to that topic, has there been a good explanation for this nitrogen thing? I mean, what the Greenpeace guy said is correct. You can get as much of this nitrogen out of the atmosphere as you want, use the process, which is famous, and then when it goes into as fertilizer, it ends up going back into the air as nitrogen.
No, of course not.
What is the rationale for stopping nitrogen fertilizers in both Sri Lanka and which has caused trouble there, and Holland? My original thinking was, well, it's just an excuse to get the Dutch to turn into a giant bedroom community. But now that you bring these other factors up, they have to have some rationale. What is it?
Well, it's obviously climate change, cow farts, but ultimately death.
Now, what is the reason that they're using to say you can't use nitrogen? What are they telling them?
What do you mean, what are they telling them? They're telling them that
you're a farmer, and I say to you, hey, you can't use any more nitrogen fertilizer.
Oh, because
you would say to me, why?
Because the process of creating nitrogen is bad for the environment. Nitrogen is bad for the environment. Cows that graze on that land are banned for the. Yeah, this is what they're saying.
They can't say that. Nitrogen is like he said, 70% plus of the air we breathe.
John,
is nitrogen. How's it bad for the environment?
Everybody, I'm getting a plane ticket for John. He's going to The Hague. He's going to tell everybody what's up with nitrogen.
I know. I'm asking what's up.
I'm telling you what they're saying. This is what they're saying. Oh, nitrogen. It's a crisis. We have a nitrogen crisis. That's literally what they're saying. And people go, oh, yeah, crisis. Yeah, what's it? Crisis. Oh, you have too much nitrogen. Sounds like carbon oxygen. We have too much oxygen. Carbon dioxide. People are stupid. People don't go to school anymore, or they don't teach stuff. It's a psyop. Of course it is. Cow farts. Oh yeah. Don't worry, we got some chicken in a vat. We're brewing some chicken for you. It's obvious.
I have a chicken in a vat clip, by the way, that we need to play.
It's obvious. Well, let's play it now then. It fits in perfectly.
Here's the chicken, because you know my thesis on this, and here's a guy kind of confirming it. He's a TikTok clip.
Oh, hold on a second.
TikTok, you don't stop. To the TikTok, you don't stop.
Talk, TikTok.
It's a little lesson in biology, and the clip is called Lab Grown Meat.
So I'm going to tell you what I just found out about lab-grown meat, and I can assure you, you are going to be disgusted. The source of this meat, they need fast-growing cells, replicating cells, just like when you have a farm that makes fruit from a tree. You don't want to plant a new tree every week. You want a tree that gives you a lot of fruit. And this is what they're trying to do with meat. And so what do they find? Well, there's something called an immortalized cell, also known as a HeLa cell. HeLa after Henrietta Lacks, who sometime in the 1950s had cervical cancer, and they removed her cancer cells, put them in a petri dish to see how long will they continue replicating, and they're still replicating today. So if you've already started to read in between the lines, you may guess where I'm going with this, that they realize the best source for fast replicating cells to make lab-grown meat that you're going to eat are cancer and pre-cancer cells. That means taking cancerous and pre-cancerous cells, literally putting them as the base and having those replicate to continue as a fast as possible pace, produce the meat that you're going to eat.
I learned about HeLa cells from Mo. Henrietta Lack was a black woman. Yeah. And her ancestors have been in legal legal battles for years because they basically just took her cells and have sold it all over the world, millions of times over. And
they should give her a royalty.
Yes, they should. Yes, they should.
I agree with that.
So lab meat is racist.
But the point of this clip is that it's a tumor.
Yes. I think, hey, I just had an idea. I had a marketing idea. HeLa burgers. Now you're talking. HeLa burgers. And we could cut in her ancestors.
There's nothing. That's a marketing idea. Let's sell tumor burgers, and that's going to make us both rich.
Hey, nothing else seems to work. Telling the truth is not a great business model. So anyway, back to my buddy Frans Timmermans. He's calling for global talks on the geoengineering. And he's pretending, there's risks, but we need governance. This is literally what I've been talking about since the beginning of the show, is spraying crap in the air, also known as chemtrails. And now they're just coming out and saying, we need to govern that, because we could bring that under our control here. Isn't it Bill Gates who's doing most of it now? He owns a geoengineering company.
Well, Gates is one of the maniacs who thinks that by spraying a bunch of crap into the upper atmosphere to cut down the sun's, kill the sun. This is like from a Simpsons episode where Burns does it.
Yeah.
And
Simpsons predicts it once again.
Yeah.
So
it probably does need some governance, or you're going to have these maniacs like Gates.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to do stuff on their own. They're going to start freelancing, and I'm actually kind of I would agree with him a little bit on this.
Of course, but he's talking about the governance. He's not talking about stopping it. No. We have to control it. It shouldn't be done at all. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. That should not be done at all.
Meanwhile, NPR has the climate change.
Or by the way, people should just go see the movie. Was it Snowpiercer?
I couldn't get through it. I didn't like Snowpiercer.
Oh, you didn't get to the part where they had the food bank where they were making food?
No, I tuned out way earlier than that. No, I tuned out way earlier than that. Horowitz loved it. I didn't like it that much. You can get it. You can see it on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube. I don't think you even need to resort to a streaming company. It's been around so long. The NPR has the climate change clip of the week, and because it's so hot, we're under the heat dome.
Sorry, I've got to say, it is hot outside.
Oh, it's hot outside. Hello, I'm working for NPR.
Ugh, try riding your bike in a suit.
Do you wear a suit to your NPR?
Try riding your bike in a suit like I do.
Does he wear a suit to the radio studio? What kind of people are these at NPR?
I always wear a suit to the station, and I ride a bike.
It is hot outside.
Ugh, try riding your bike in a suit. And we don't even have the worst of it. Just south of here in Washington, D.C., places in the U.S. are under heat advisories as temperatures break 100 degrees. Millions of people are facing dangerous, extreme heat.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good tips on the show yesterday for staying safe and comfortable in heat like that.
Oh, John, are you staying safe and comfortable? Safe and comfortable, baby. Stay safe and comfortable.
some of which may feel kind of obvious, like staying as cool as possible by hydrating and trying not to run around too much.
Yeah, but
is hydrating the NPR word for drinking water? I just want to make sure because I'm a little confused.
Very pretentious word.
Hydrating.
Obvious, like staying as cool as possible by hydrating and trying not to run around too much.
Yeah, but there's one thing we didn't mention, which is splooting.
Splooting. That is a very silly word for a pretty cool...
Have you not heard of splooting?
Splooting?
Splooting. S-P-L-O-O-T-I-N-G. Splooting.
I would do that in the privacy of my own home.
Splooting.
Splooting. That is a very silly word for a pretty cool strategy, something animals do more than humans. Walk around on a hot day and you actually might see a squirrel splooting.
I think it's called splooting because that is kind of what it looks like. It's like if a squirrel just like splatted down on the pavement, all of its limbs are splayed, so it's kind of like spread eagles on the ground.
That's animal physiologist Andrea Rummel. When humans are hot, sweating cools us down, but she says animals that can't sweat have to resort to other behaviors to cool off.
The squirrels are trying to regulate their body temperatures by spreading out on a cool surface. Think of it like finding the cool part of the pillow when you're trying to fall asleep.
And it's not just squirrels that sploot. Dogs, raccoons, bears, all kinds of animals will do it if they are overheating.
Splooting. I think they're just making it up. Splooting. This was a 5-minute segment on NPR.
They mentioned that people don't do it. Yeah, we do sweat. That's the advantage. We don't have to do that, whatever that is the animals are doing.
Right.
On a cold.
Well, not everybody sweats.
Well, that's true. There's a number of lizard people we know
yes.
of.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary doesn't sweat.
Barack Obama.
Barack doesn't sweat, right?
No, doesn't sweat.
There's somebody else.
I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I don't know. Those are the only two famous ones I know.
We should have a list.
Yes, a list of non-sweaters. And just staying with climate change for one more second. The most emailed article this week or in the past few days, which I just wanted to address for a moment. And people know that I'm a pilot, so they send me the headline, World's first fully electric flying car approved by FAA and accepting pre-orders. I mean, this is what a great PR job is so well done. You and I could have advised these guys. They have nothing. They have a plastic model, which looks kind of cool, but it doesn't even drive, let alone fly. And they filled out a form, sent it to the FAA and said, hey, we want to do some test flights at this facility with, basically an oversized drone. And the FAA says, sure, okay, go ahead. You can stay within these boundaries. You're good to go. Now they've turned that into a PR campaign saying they have FAA certification. There's no certification about it. Special airworthiness certification. Absolutely not true. There's no special airworthiness certification at all that I'm aware of. And they don't have specs. They don't have a car that flies. But you can invest now with your pre-order of $1,500, or you can become an investor. This is the biggest bunch of bull crap I've seen from this sector in a while. And there's a lot of these things, a lot of flying cars. And if you that's why I'm always looking for specs. What's the spec? Well, it'll do 60 miles an hour for 11 minutes. There's not a single flying vehicle to date that has been announced or is flying on batteries, mind you, on batteries, that will actually get me from here to Austin. I wouldn't mind charging in Austin and then flying back, but none of that is true. Even the battery powered plane, they're saying, we're canceling that project because we just can't do it. The batteries overheat. The batteries are
too heavy.
Of course, they're too heavy. The power to weight ratio is insanely stupid. But it's
the same thing with the large semi trucks, the big trucks. It turns out that the batteries are too heavy.
It's like 8,000 pounds, and then
batteries
and to
get
charge
the thing down the street,
and to charge your fleet of 50 trucks would take the energy of Austin. It's the whole thing is a hoax. But Elon, yeah. But I just love that, and people don't know. They're sending me like, "Hey, you should get in on this." Okay, thanks. Yeah, you should order one. Yeah, I would order one. So the fully electric vehicle with a hydrogen option for a higher price. It's a low-speed vehicle that be driven up to 200 miles on public roads and fits in a regular garage, but it can also launch vertically into the air with a flying range of 110 miles, according to their website. But there's and then they got all these cool videos, good. They put some money into the renderings, but no, it's not going to happen. It's like my buddy Michelle in the UK. When Uber announced the Uber Air taxi, where's that? That happened several years ago. He said, "Yeah, I put in for a license for my club." I said, "Dude, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. This is hoax. This is no way. The power to weight ratio is off. It's not going to happen." Anyway, transitioning to the collapse of the United States, which, according to Colonel McGregor, is nearby. Do you like McGregor? We've talked
about it. No, I don't, because he wouldn't take my call.
Oh,
he snubbed the podcast.
What?
Meanwhile, he does all these low-end podcasts.
Yeah,
he's a dick.
He's not the friend of the podcast. He's the foe of the podcast. A foe of the pod. Well,
of this podcast only.
Podcast. Yeah, guess where he wound up?
Some other podcast.
Patrick Bet David. The guy we just heard from with
who I find this podcast annoying.
I don't think we'll ever get to the 2024 election. I think things are going to implode in Washington before then. I think our economic financial condition is fragile. I think we're going to end up in a situation where we find out the banks are closed for 2 or 3 weeks.
Woohoo!
And nobody can get into them.
You think so?
I think we're going to run into something like that, yeah. I also think that the levels of violence and criminality in our cities is so high that it's going to spill over into other places in society. People that normally think they can live remote from the problem are now beginning to be touched by the problem. Then I look at this thing in Ukraine. I think Ukraine is going to lose catastrophically. It's going to be a complete collapse. And that, too, is going to have an effect here at home, because people are going to say, well, wait a minute. Everybody told us Ukraine was winning. Everybody told us X, Y, and Z. I mean, it's sort of the Russian hoax on steroids. All of those things are going to come together or converge in some way that's going to prevent us from reaching, the status quo. Oh, another election. Oh, another set of campaigns and so forth.
This is getting some play.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You could be, if you want to do that, you could do that. I could do it. Anyone can go do this. You're running out of material. You got no books to sell. He had one famous book that he sold on military strategy. And you got to get out there. You got to find some way. You need some. Maybe you'll get a gig on Fox, or maybe you'll get this sort of thing like Tammy Bruce, by the way, I think is going to be the next Fox regular.
Really? They just gave it to... They gave the 8 o'clock slot to what's the boy's name?
They just move people around so far. But
no. They gave it to Jesse Waters.
Yeah, I know they gave it to Jesse Waters. He's not going to be able to handle it.
I don't think so either.
He's not that good. He's okay on the 5 sometimes, and he's got that stupid look on his face. It's not. It's like he's kidding you all the time.
So maybe
no. She's going to be brought in because she took over Hannity's show. And she's better than Hannity. She asks smart questions. She's sharp. She's just good. She's an old broadcaster from the old broadcaster.
Yeah.
From the get-go radio type.
Yeah.
But looks good on TV. So I think they're going to have to bring her on because and Waters, I don't think he can pull it off.
I was on the Brian Kilmeade radio show on Friday. I've been on it before, and I think, you show up on Beck and stuff like that. The booker goes, Curry, we need someone for Friday. Call Curry, okay. And Brian, he's a nice guy. and the Fox Radio Network has a lot of people listening. So I'm just going to promote as much as I can. I'm just promoting No Agenda. He actually did a pretty good job.
That's what you do on radio. You're supposed to do.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. But he started off with like, so what do you think of what MTV has become? Like, oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah, but then he brought up the whole Biden ball gag strap, and played some clip of Biden mumbling, and I decided I would pull a Dvorak on him. And I said, well, we have a theory over at the No Agenda show, hoping people will catch on and like it and come over and listen to us, that he's really like the Chin, Vincent Gigante. And Kilme was like, blah, 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 what? Your theory really screws with the mainstream media's heads. It's like not at all what they expected to hear.
No, it doesn't fit into the narrative.
And you know who's been listening to your theory? Ben Shapiro.
But if you're Joe Biden, then you get away with it. And one of the reasons you get away with it is because right now, not only are you the president of the United States, but you're a babbling old fool. And because you're a babbling old fool, you're unthreatening. I've said this for a while, one of the great assets that Joe Biden has is that he appears to be in a state of cognitive decline. In the same way that you watch a mafia movie and you will see somebody in a mafia movie who is under investigation pretend to be crazy or pretend to be in a state of cognitive decline so that prosecutors are like, oh, he couldn't have done it. That guy's walking around in a bathrobe. That is basically Joe Biden at this point. I don't think he's pretending, but I certainly think that the decline in his cognitive faculties make him a more sympathetic figure than he otherwise would be. Joe Biden of 2008 was not in any way sympathetic. Now he seems sympathetic mainly because you're afraid that he's going to literally keel over and die at any moment.
I think he's kind of listening to you for material.
Well, he could have at least had some details about the fact that it was Vincent Gigante.
Oh, but listen, we're the OG. Well, we're the OG No Agenda show. We do a segment on Rachel Levine. Boom, Tucker does 8 minutes on Rachel Levine.
Yeah, I know what your thesis is, and I'm not going to argue against it completely. But since you brought this topic up, let's hear what Mayor Pete on Biden has to say. This is a two-parter, and the second part's the kicker. So this is part one, Mayor Pete.
Clearly losing the war in Iraq.
The president faced a wave of criticism on Wednesday after saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin was clearly losing the war in Iraq. Biden also said Iraq instead of Ukraine at a fundraiser on Tuesday night and didn't correct himself. Buttigieg was asked about voter doubts on Biden's mental competency as the oldest president in history.
Okay, so we're going to go to Mayor Pete, who's going to back up the thesis, part two.
Well, what I say is I wish you could be in a room with him the way I often am, seeing
in the dark room
how he is simultaneously focused on a big picture vision and very focused on details.
Buttigieg cited rail infrastructure meetings he's had with Biden, where he says the president hones in on questions so specific it becomes necessary to pull in experts from Amtrak to satisfy his desire for detailed information. Buttigieg says it's not age that matters, but your ability to get the job done.
This is an administration that has been extraordinarily effective.
Well, now hold on.
By the way,
that's funny.
In a normal circumstance, that leads to other clips proving extraordinarily effective. Doesn't really exist, but anyway.
Safe and effective. Well, both can be true at the same time. Biden can be very good behind the scenes, very detailed, and an obvious cognitive decline when he's out and about. And President Trump, who's out and about, he has his own theory.
You know it, and I know it. Joe doesn't know he's alive. Because Biden doesn't know he's alive. Biden doesn't know, he doesn't know he's alive. Now, I have to tell you, he's a different guy. He looks different than he used to. He acts different than he used to. He's even slower than he used to be. So I don't know, but I call him 1% Joe. Joe Biden is a dummy. It's not him. He's a puppet. He's a puppet.
Yeah, this is going around the ladies.
Yeah, I love that clip.
Yeah, the ladies.
Joe Biden is a dummy.
Yeah, well, but not just a dummy, but he's a different Joe Biden. It's either the mask or it's an imposter with the mask.
This also falls into place with our normal thinking that there's probably 3 of these guys. And I count 3. They have different teeth. They have different eye colors.
The whole thing.
They don't even necessarily look the same.
The ladies out here have their own text group. This is where I get a lot of the good stuff from. Like exactly this. Joe Biden, there's 3 of them. They got masks. It's all fake. I love that. They're my favorites. And they're also, a lot of them are members of the Moms for Liberty, which is now getting some heat.
Play.
Getting play, yeah. Here's NBC.
Tonight in Philadelphia, the latest battle in the culture wars.
They want to teach cis white history and erase anything else.
They have messed with the right people. Moms.
The second annual convention for Moms for Liberty is drawing top Republican presidential candidates. Tina Descovich and Tiffany Justice started the group in 2021 in Florida as a way to fight COVID restrictions. But since then, Moms for Liberty says it's expanded to 285 chapters across 44 states with more than 120,000 members. Among other things, the organization now battles what it calls the indoctrination of children on topics such as race, gender, and sexuality. It's advocated removing what it deems inappropriate books from school libraries. Also, the Southern Poverty Law Center has now labeled Moms for Liberty an anti-government extremist group.
They harm students, they harm communities, they spread ideas that are about conspiracy-based, about a tyrannical government that are untrue.
How do you respond to that?
We reject that. Look at our record from last year. We endorsed in 500 school board races. We won 275 of those races. That is exactly what you're supposed to do in our political process.
The group is billed as a grassroots movement, but critics start questioning where the money that's funded its explosive growth is coming from. The nonprofit is not required to disclose its donors.
This is so evil what they're doing. A lot of these women are friends. They are truly moms. A lot of them actually have no children, which is interesting. Or there's a percentage, but they are involved in local politics. I really like what they're doing. Yeah, in fact, I got a message just the other day. Monday, the 5th. What is the 5th? The 5th is Tuesday. What's the 5th? Tuesday. 5th of July.
Domestic terrorists.
No, we got to go to city council because they're doing stuff that they want to start a public housing authority in Fredericksburg. Which, of course...
Wait, how many people are in Fredericksburg?
15,000.
Oh, it's bigger than I thought. I thought it was like 5.
Yeah, but there's 800 apartments about to come online. 800 in the commercial sector. And what do we really need lower cost housing for? Is for people to work in the shops and the restaurants in Fredericksburg. But we have public housing authority. Well, we know how that goes.
Yeah,
and so they're riling everybody up. I like that. But now, Southern Poverty Law Center? Domestic terrorist group. That's ridiculous. And
Southern Poverty Law Center has become domestic terrorists.
Yes, I agree. It's really unbelievable. No, it's totally believable. But most of these women are they're sweethearts. They're really trying to do something. I appreciate it. I think we have a lot of Moms for Liberty listening. A lot of them came in during COVID. They were just, where can I get some information? Shit, there's 2 old dudes talking about it. Let me check them out. Might as well. Got everything else.
Talking about COVID.
Yes. Yes.
See, I can do it too.
Yeah, pretty good. We're just segueing all over the place today.
They're decided, it seems to me, to go back on the bat propaganda.
Oh no!
To dissuade anyone from thinking that any of these diseases coming down the pipe are manufactured by Fort Meade or any place else. Fort Detrick, I'm sorry. Fort Meade's where the spaceships are.
Fort Meade is right. Is Fort Meade is where the water is killing people?
Spaceships at Fort Meade.
No.
Flying saucers. It is at Fort Detrick where they're making the bugs.
Fort Meade was the poison water, I think. The poison bats.
I forgot. The various forts are all mentioned in the Day After Roswell book by Philip Corso, which seems to have been shoved aside by everybody. But onward with the COVID. So this isn't a bat propaganda.
Yes.
It's COVID bat propaganda.
The search for the exact origin of COVID-19 has highlighted the risk of viruses transmitted by certain species of bats. In the wild, they can withstand viruses that kill other animals, and the viruses can incubate in bats and spread to other animals and humans. As Ali Rogan explains, today humans and bats are interacting more than ever.
Global industrialization continues to reduce the amount of the world untouched by humans. That means species like bats are no longer as insulated from human interaction as they once were. In recent decades, bats have been traced as the source of outbreaks of rabies, Marburg virus, Nipah virus, and Ebola. To discuss why this is happening, I'm joined by Neil Vora. He's a physician with Conservation International, a nonprofit environmentalist group, and he works on pandemic prevention. Neil, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me about what you and your colleagues have found out about human and bat interaction in recent years, in recent decades.
I'm sorry, what news outlet is this from again?
PBS.
Oh, man. It's almost as good as NPR's Splooting Squirrel.
It starts off with understanding about emerging infectious diseases. We know that infectious diseases are increasingly emerging around the world since at least the 1940s. And most of these new infectious diseases originate in animals and then jump into people. That's called spillover. And spillovers are increasing around the world because of what we humans are doing to nature and how we're interacting with animals around the world. Bats are getting stressed as we are disrupting their habitats and affecting their food supply.
What happened?
We are stressing out bats in a variety of different ways, and that makes them more prone to illness and makes them more likely to shed viruses that can then go on to infect people. Just like when we're stressed, we're more likely to get sick. The same goes for bats.
This is okay. This is very interesting that they're dredging this old cow out of the canal. What are they trying? Why now? What is?
I've been trying to figure that out as we go through these clips. You won't figure it out, and this goes on a lot longer than the clips I have.
Sure,
and they're really pushing the bat narrative. And they're also saying push don't be mean to bats because bats are good. They eat insects and bugs.
We got bats. Bats are important.
Texas is loaded with bats.
We love our bats. Yes.
Yeah, and you had the bat caves where they come out at night and
we got the bat bridge. Darkens. Austin has the bat bridge where every night.
San Antonio's got some bat thing going on there.
We got bats in Johnson City, at Johnson National Park. There's bat caves, very famous.
Yeah.
We got bats flying overhead at night here.
Yeah, they're pooping all over the place. That's sick. So, okay. They used to sell bat guano as a fabulous nutrient for plants. And bat guano used to be sold in bags.
Yeah, I think there's laws now here. You can't collect bat guano, I think.
I don't know why. No. Okay, let's go part 2. This is propaganda. Now, I want to listen carefully to this, and there's an illogic here that I have to discuss.
And why are bats so unique in their ability to carry viruses that can affect humans?
There's a variety of reasons for this. One might have to do with different immune systems that bats have compared to humans, which allows them to tolerate some viruses differently than humans can. Furthermore, bats are able to fly over large distances, and so that allows them to carry viruses from one area to another, similar to how humans, if we're infected with a virus and we jump in a plane, we can carry that virus to other parts of the world. So these are some of the factors that might explain why bats are able to transmit a number of viruses to humans, but not be affected by them the same way we are.
Okay.
So bats aren't affected by viruses the same way we are because they can fly a long distance. Now, this is exactly what he said. He had 2 reasons. One, he says, well, maybe their immune system's a little different so they can tolerate more infections and they just carry these viruses around. And then they can, and the question, remember, was why bats? Well, how can they do this? How can they hold these viruses in and then transfer them to humans? And they can travel a long distance. That's got nothing to do with whether or not they can be infected. And it's just stupid.
And to complete the bat theory, it was sold at a wet market where some schmuck was eating the bat. And somehow, talk about illogic. Some schmuck bought a wet market bat and ate it and then got it. Maybe this is to set us up for more, another pandemic, which could be domestic bats?
It has to be something like that because, and by the way, going back to that story, we always have to remember that wet market did not sell bats. That was researched and proven.
Well, that's not that you're ruining the story.
I am ruining the story, but this is among other. Okay, here we go with part 3. And here we go again. Let's bring back the pangolin.
Is wildlife trade, both legal and illegal, needs to be regulated and monitored more closely. We've had a number of outbreaks associated with wildlife trade, such as Mpox back in 2003. Also, the original SARS outbreak back in 2003 was also associated with wildlife trade, and very likely the COVID pandemic was also related to the wildlife trade.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's where SARS came from, sure. Another bat?
SARS, he claims, out of the blue. I didn't know this, that SARS-CoV-1 was from bats. Now, we know this isn't true.
It's not true.
In fact, they go on, and the woman, I didn't play clip anymore of this because it goes on forever. And she brings in the lab theory. And he says, no proof of the lab theory. It's just a theory. And he goes on and on about how the lab theory is probably not true because it's these damned animals that go back and forth with the viruses, and we get stuck with
this. This can also...
It is an op. I mean...
Yeah, no, maybe it's just to bring more discredit info towards RFK. That
could be.
You could use it for that. Have you not been listening to PBS, our national treasure? This just came from a bat, man, not from a lab. Maybe that's it.
Oh, that could be. That's actually, I didn't consider the RFK angle. Yeah. I didn't know that he was that dangerous, that they would do that.
I think he is dangerous to them.
Well, he might be. He might be dangerous. I have two other COVID clips that are kind of...
Let's do them.
There's fraud money, NTD, New Tang Dynasty.
This is NTD. You may recall hearing about fraud in COVID relief programs for businesses. A federal watchdog is putting a number on how much money was handed out to fraudulent claims, a total of more than $200 billion. That's 17% of the $1.2 trillion the Small Business Administration distributed. It amounts to about 4.5 million fraudulent claims. Some of that money was paid through the Paycheck Protection Program. It was designed to help businesses pay employees during the pandemic, but most of the sum was actually paid through economic injury disaster loans. Businesses were supposed to pay those loans back, unlike PPP assistance.
Yeah.
Now, this was the clip I was going to go to after Buttigieg says that things are going great. This is the best ever administration.
Well, what happened is, trillions of dollars were stolen. Not by us. We didn't get any PPP.
I didn't get any.
No.
The SBA's Inspector General says pressure to inject money into the economy quickly was a magnet for fraudsters, and says the SBA did not employ adequate safeguards to prevent it. The Justice Department has taken action against dozens of people for defrauding Medicare and Medicaid. They've been at it for 2 weeks. They have charged 78 defendants, including 24 doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals. The scheme spans 16 states and resulted in $2.5 billion of alleged fraud. Officials say much of the fraud targeted the elderly, people with mental health issues, and people addicted to opioids. One case accuses doctors of plotting with telemarketers to get kickbacks for pushing unnecessary medical equipment. Another scheme allegedly involved buying HIV medications from patients, then repackaging them to sell to pharmacies. Prosecutors say in some instances, the wrong medications, broken pills, and even pebbles were sold.
Talking about taking advantage of old people, so I've been documenting all these phone calls I get from the various scammers.
Oh, yes.
And I finally got the one I've been waiting for. after the IRS, and they're going to come to my door with a gun. They're going to arrest me. All these different things you get to hear. I got this one. Hey, granddad. I said, what? Granddad, it's your grandson.
Oh, you got one. You got the phony. I need some money. I'm in jail.
Yeah. The guy had a big, deep, gravelly voice and a New York accent. He sounded like this. And then he says, hey, I sound different because I broke my nose. I got into a car accident. The bag went off. My nose is broken.
Wow. Okay, of course. Now, wait a minute. First of all, how could you not be recording this?
It was in the office. I don't have a recorder hooked up to this phone.
Get one of those suction cup jobs.
It's the wrong phone.
Remember the suction cup you put on the side?
Yeah,
of the
I remember the suction cup. I know. I feel so bad about not having this.
That's really,
especially this guy and his voice.
Inexcusable.
I broke my nose. I don't sound right to granddad. And I wasn't going to get much out of this guy because I wasn't recording it. So I say to him, that's terrible. And he said, and then I said, and what's worse is that my grandson's only 12 years old. How did you get a license? Click.
Yeah.
Hey, granddad.
Yeah. They could use some effects.
So that's
cool.
That was,
you got it.
I don't know. I might be now on a list because, they have.
Oh, they're relentless. No, they're relentless. They don't care. They'll keep trying it with you.
Yeah.
I think they sell the list because ever since we tried to get the pig butcher thing onto the air with us, now they're sending me pictures. There's always some Asian chick, Chloe. Yeah.
Chloe, the Asian chick.
I did want to point at something out. This World Health Organization treaty, which is already a treaty. America's part of the treaty, but they're upgrading it. And from what I understand, and it won't be until next year. They don't really have to do much with it. I actually got a pig butcher call right now. We're not going to do it. So it doesn't need to be ratified. It can just kind of continue somehow on the ratification the original treaty has. So Article 18 is something people are talking about. And it calls on member states to, quote, tackle false, misleading information or disinformation and to manage infodemics through social listening initiatives. And they have a social listening initiative known as the Early AI-supported response and social listening system, also known as EARS, which you can find at who-ears.com. And you can, by country, you can look into all the disinformation and see what people are talking about on social media right now in real time.
Give me the URL again.
who-ears.com. So they have social indicators, and I've got it now. The last 7 days in the United States. No, this is around the world. Distrust is at 16%.
This doesn't work.
Well, it works for me.
who-ears.com.
Yeah. Doesn't work. I'm doing it right now, and it works.
Well, it doesn't work here.
EARS.com.
Oh, there it is. If I hit the refresh, it came up.
Oh. So you can see here, they've got social indicators. And let me grab the United States, because they have for the whole world. They do it for the whole, they're so amazing. They're for the whole world, United States. Topics of conversation, 18.9% are talking about COVID vaccine. 9.7% industry. This is only about health stuff. It's not about anything else. Industry and economic impact. 6.7% right now talking about mis and disinformation. And these are some key stats. Top keywords: COVID, online, people, vaccine, license, passport, pandemic, vaccines. Rising keywords: license. Top hashtags, COVID-19, COVID, long COVID, Moderna, ivermectin. Oh, we got to squash those people. Oh, no. Hashtag HCQS has risen 1,100%. So somehow they're going to use this to, make sure that the governments are all listening in and making sure it's a dashboard, basically. It's a dashboard to adjust the messaging. What do you think?
Who owns this domain?
I'm pretty sure that's the World Health Organization.
There's no evidence of that on this page.
Well, that's a very good question. Who is WHO-ears.com? I had not done that. I'm glad you... according to the Who Is server, the World Health Organization owns this. That's evidence right here in the Who Is record.
I'm looking at the Who Is record, the GoDaddy version. It doesn't show that.
Yeah, but I'm in the Who Is record online, like a command
Yeah, I know.
line.
That's what I'm on.
No, you're on the GoDaddy thing.
Well, the GoDaddy's got a good Who Is server.
Yeah, well, how come mine shows...
Okay, no, if it shows it, it shows it.
Yeah. Avenue Appia 20, Geneva. Yeah, got the phone number. +41, that would be for Geneva. They own it. It's the real deal.
I think they put it on the website somewhere.
Yeah. They don't want podcasters, figuring it out. I love it. I think this is great. It's fantastic. This actually came from the new WikiLeaks file dump, this information. Which I thought the WikiLeaks file dump had already been done, but I guess there's new stuff in there. They open up the file.
Well, you don't have authority to look at it.
No, well, I'm not Jake Tapper. I'm not working for CNN, so I don't have clearance, so I can do whatever I want. You got a Hotez clip before we get out of COVID?
This is a classic Hotez clip. This is him over the years, starting in 2019, talking about how long does it take to make a vaccine, and it goes right up to date.
It's usually a 10 to 25 year time frame. People forget how long it really takes.
Now, you need to point out that this super cut or mini cut of his starts when Trump was talking about vaccines. And of course, that's when no one would, Kamala Harris, I'll never take the Trump vaccine bad. Not gonna, who knows what he's doing with his warp speed? No good. So of course, warp speed is crazy. It takes 25 years.
It's usually a 10 to 25 year time frame. People forget how long it really takes to develop an effective and safe vaccine and do all the adequate clinical testing. I think the current record for developing a vaccine from start to licensure in the United States is around 3 or 4 years. So that's the realistic time frame we have to start thinking about.
When you look at the timelines of coronavirus this COVID-19 vaccines, it really follows the same progression as almost any other vaccine. The vaccine development cycle for COVID-19 vaccines very much goes along with what we've seen before. And there are some variances, but modest. And I think that's an important story for people to know if they're concerned about taking COVID-19 vaccines.
Man, Trump's got to get his story straight about vaccines. The Moms for Liberty, there's your group.
Never going to happen.
Why
one of his fatal flaws is that he never admits he's wrong.
I mean, the Moms for Liberty won't vote for him because of that one issue. And I think they have real grassroots power. It's really, really short-sighted. It's really stupid.
It's hard for him to say, hey, look, I was taken for a ride on this. I was wrong. I had the wrong people in place. In fact, I hired a lot of people that shouldn't have been hired because I can't seem to hire people properly. Mm-hmm. He just can't do it. It's just too much.
Well, that is a fatal flaw. If he literally said, hey, I got duped or whatever, and he should include the lockdown in that, which was really not a duping, but he just didn't want to. He knew that he would be toast if he did that, which he probably, in hindsight, might not have been if the rest of the world shut down and America didn't. But if he did that, if he admitted his flaw, if he just said, hey, I screwed up.
Yeah, that little part of the political game where you admit you're wrong and you take a beating for 2 minutes and you're good.
Yeah, people would revere him if he did that.
Yeah, he can't manage. It's just something that's just not possible.
That's too bad. That's all he's missing. And maybe he'll do it October surprise.
October surprise. Trump becomes human.
Hey, everybody. All right, before we take a break, and it's a doozy of a break, because for some reason, what have we put up a new webpage or something that says send long notes? Adam and John love it. What happened there?
I have no idea what happened here with these long notes.
I mean, we love the support, but it started.
These notes have got to stop.
Yeah, they really are a little bit too long. And I think there's another thing, because of your excellent delivery of these company names. People are like, yeah, I'm gonna put my company.
We'll have to put a stop to that eventually.
There's some funny companies coming up, though. And it was like, hey, I can write this off if I make my company name give it.
Yeah, well, it's a good excuse to write it off.
Yeah, it's funny. Queen Ursula, very short clip, but she's doing the impossible. What will never happen, can't do it. It's illegal.
And during this European Council, we have discussed the topic of immobilized Russian assets. We, the Commission, will come forward with a proposal, and we will focus prudently on the windfall profits from the immobilized assets of the Russian Central Bank.
They're going to steal the money. They're going to steal the money from the counterparty assets from the Russian Central Bank when they got cut off from SWIFT. It's amazing.
These guys are criminals.
What?
This is a criminal act.
There's gambling going on?
It's a criminal act.
Of course, they're all criminals. That's the beauty.
And then they brag about it. That's what gets me.
Yeah. Well, I have two clips here, which just fantastic. Max Blumenthal, who was the editor of The Gray Zone, and I'm not sure who invited him, but he's in the United Nations. He gets to talk for 10 minutes, and he spoke so fast he got 20 minutes of content in, talking to, I don't know if it's the Security Council or the Oversight Council. It doesn't matter, because the clip got out there. I have two clips from this 10-minute thing, which is just phenomenal. There's 10 minutes of no agenda. Actually, there's half an hour of no agenda jammed into 10 minutes. So two much shorter clips, $1.50 for each one. And this first one is about the money that the United States is sending to Ukraine, which, of course, would be nice to have audited. It would be nice to have an audit from the Pentagon in general. But this is not just Pentagon money. This is just the Ukraine money that the United States citizens have given to the Treasury, or maybe it's just money they printed up. It doesn't matter. It's our money. And listen to where it's going.
We found, among many bizarre payments, a $4.5 million payment from the U.S. Social Security Administration to the Kiev government. We found $4.5 billion worth of payments from the U.S. Agency for International Development to pay off Ukraine's sovereign debt, much of which is owned by the global investment firm BlackRock. That amounts to $30 taken from every U.S. citizen at a time when 4 in 10 Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. We found tax dollars earmarked for Ukraine, padding the budgets of a television station in Toronto, a pro-NATO think tank in Poland, and believe it or not, even rural farmers in Kenya. We found tens of millions to private equity firms, including one in the Republic of Georgia, as well as $1 million payment to a single private entrepreneur in Kiev. Our audit also revealed the Pentagon's $4.5 million contract with a company called Atlantic Diving Supply to provide Ukraine with unspecified explosives equipment. This is a notoriously corrupt company that none other than Tom Tillis, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, previously lambasted for its, quote, history of fraud. Once again, Congress has failed to ensure these shady payments and massive arms deals are properly tracked. In fact, much of the military and humanitarian aid shipped to Ukraine has simply vanished. Last year, CBS News quoted the director of a pro-Zelensky nonprofit in Ukraine who reported that only 30% of aid was reaching the front lines. The embezzlement of funds and supplies is at least as troubling as the potential consequences of the illicit transfer and sales of military-grade weapons. Last June, the head of Interpol warned that the massive transfers of arms into Ukraine means, quote, we can expect an influx of weapons in Europe and beyond, and that criminals are now, as we speak, focusing on them.
Now, of course, these are all little tiddlywink amounts, but this is exactly what it's about. These are the people on the sidelines. They're just, this is just just cream that is being shaven off the top. Because you need, a billion is 1,000 million, and there's some say $150 billion that has already gone to Ukraine, to the military-industrial complex, in stuff that doesn't really work, is old, etc. And I don't even know if they've started building the new stuff they took the money for. It is a giant scam. But it does kind of it makes people mad. So I think it's good that he did that. And no, his dad is not Sidney Blumenthal. Dumb trolls. And here's my favorite, because one of our favorites, Jen Psaki, comes up. Here's the criminal gang for you, including Abe Lincoln.
Indeed, military cemeteries in Ukraine are expanding almost as rapidly as the Northern Virginia McMansions and beachfront estates of executives from Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and assorted Beltway contractors benefiting from the second highest level of military spending since World War II. These are the real winners of the Ukraine proxy war. Not average Ukrainians or Americans or Russians. The winners, or Europeans for that matter, the winners are people like Secretary of State Tony Blinken, who spent his time between the Obama and Biden administrations launching a consulting firm called West Exec Advisors, which secured lucrative government contracts for intelligence firms and the arms industry. Blinken's former partners at West Exec include Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, CIA Deputy Director David Cohen, former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and almost a dozen current and former members of Biden's national security team. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, for his part, is a former and possibly future board member of Raytheon, and an ex-partner of Pine Island Capital Investment, which collaborates with West Exec and which Blinken himself has advised. Meanwhile, the current U.S. ambassador to this body, the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, is listed as a senior counsel at the Albright Stonebridge Group, a self-described commercial diplomacy firm that also finesses government contracts for the intelligence and arms sector, and which was founded by Madeleine Albright, infamously known for her comments that the deaths by sanctions of 500,000 Iraqi children were worth it. So while military-aged Ukrainian men are ripped off the streets by military police and sent to the front lines, the financially and politically connected architects of this proxy war are planning to walk through the revolving door to reap unimaginable profits once their time in the Biden administration is over. For them, a negotiated settlement to this territorial dispute means an end to the cash cow of close to $150 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine.
There you go. Anthony Blinken, Jen Psaki, the actual ambassador to the United Nations from America, all in. They've all got consulting gigs. They're all this is the criminality.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's great.
I wonder what gig Jean-Pierre Van Damme's going to end up with.
Oh man, she checks a lot of boxes. She might have multiple board seats. I think she's more a board member.
Can you imagine her on your board?
That's a visual I really don't
black
like.
lesbians, but
I really don't like that. But with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, the man who put the C into the COVID segue. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to my friend on the other end, the one and only Mr. John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships, sea boots on the ground, feet in the air. Subs in the water and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll room. Let's have a count of the trolls. Hands up. Oh, they're running around. They're scurrying. They try to get away fast, but no, they can't. I got your count. 2268.
200 low.
Yeah, we are a little low. Well, it's 4th of July weekend.
Well, it's a 4th of July 6-day weekend because everyone in their right minds or has normal jobs, they find a way to take off Friday, sometimes Thursday. I think when I was at the air pollution district, we'd find some way to take off Thursday. You get, I'm sick. I've got to take off a couple of sick days. Thursday, Friday, you're out. Saturday, Sunday's a weekend, you're out.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday's a holiday, you're out. And then you come back on Wednesday. So you've got 1, 2, 3,
That's
4,
right.
5, 6. You could probably stretch it to 7, take a quick trip to Europe.
Yeah. By the way, Christina hopefully, is just about landed in New York. She's coming. And I realize the worst time of the year to fly her in with Kevin.
It is the worst time of the year to fly. And they just report after report about how miserable it is.
And they had a direct flight yesterday from Amsterdam to Austin, which was canceled. So they had to stay at the airport without their bag.
They'll never get there.
Without their bag, stay at the airport to get on. Now they had to go through New York. It could not be, I didn't tell her that, but you could not have a worst possible connection through New York. And it's raining in New York. Oh, it's raining! Air traffic control, shut it down. So I'm just praying that she'll make it in.
She will eventually.
Eventually, yes. And
hi, Dad. I gotta go. We gotta go home. We gotta go back.
And you know what, KLM? So KLM, real nice, because first of all, they had direct flights. They had seats sitting together initially, and now so they got split up. They got to take a KLM flight, then an American Airlines. Somehow I don't know how KLM now works with American Airlines. So they gave them a voucher for their overnight stay in Schiphol Airport. Can you guess how much?
I don't know.
15 euros.
What?
Yeah, 15 euros per person.
15 euros? You can't. You have to just like a snack.
Not even.
You can't buy a hotel room or anything.
You can't even buy a Snickers bar for that anymore. It's crazy. Anyway, yes, it also, of course, also a big mattress sale weekend here in America. Mattress and cars. Anyway, we're working. We're very happy to do it. We love it. We appreciate these more than 2,000 trolls listening up live. That's very much appreciated. We love having you on board. It's like having our own little studio audience with hecklers. It's fine. You're listening probably at trollroom.io, which is one place, which is actually...
you brought up an interesting point.
Okay.
This is more, a real studio audience is very controlled. You got the guy up there clapping his hands. They got a big light that says applause and all the rest of it. And there's no heckling. They throw you out. This is, with the heckling, is more like a comedy nightclub.
Oh.
Where you got the hecklers, you got the wise asses, and they're all chiming in. Worse than a comedy nightclub. There's only usually one or two people with the guts to do it, but with an anonymous crowd like this, you get some input that you wouldn't normally get. Mostly you suck, but besides that.
Well, boots on the ground when last weekend, I think, Tina and I met up with our friends Vic and Chris. They came in from Dallas, and they had VIP tickets to the Comedy Mothership, Joe's Club. Now, Joe wasn't performing that night. Ari Shaffir was. And, so we had a nice little booth. We're sitting there, and the girls start talking to each other. And within 2 minutes, guy comes over. Shh, there's no conversations or heckling. Shh. There's no heckling at this comedy show. None. You get ejected.
Well, that's not kosher.
No, that's what it is.
The comedians are supposed to be able to deal with it. They have all these stock lines. It's one thing.
Yeah.
You learn this from comedians or producers.
You think.
Which is that in the world of comedy, it's not considered fair to steal material. You have to pay for it. If you get caught, you have to write a check out.
Yes.
But when it comes to put down lines that are that the comedians all use the same ones, it's fair game. The best put down lines, and there's dozens of them, where you can call out somebody in the audience for one reason or another. I've used a few of them myself in certain situations. When I give a speech, I know what these jokes are. And it shuts people up. It's considered fair game to steal all the best ones, and you use them. And the comedian is supposed to be able to handle the audience himself.
Well,
shouldn't need ushers.
It's not happening. I'm just saying, it's just not happening.
Oh, that's not kosher.
Well, you're not getting a gig there, that's for sure. Anyway,
well, if I got a gig there, I sure wouldn't have to worry about knowing these heckler lines.
Anyway, I like our trolls. I like how they heckle. They get really mad at me sometimes. Of course, I'm always, during the show, I'm typing in there, "You suck." Like someone says something, said, "Your mom wears army boots." Classics like that. Is that the line you would use?
Yeah,
in the club? Okay. Anyway, trollroom.io is where you can listen live. You got the troll room there. You got the stream there. Of course, I would recommend you use one of the fabulous Podcasting 2.0 compatible apps found at podcastapps.com, where many of them have this actual capability built into it. You can import all of your legacy podcasts into it. You can drop Apple, drop Spotify, please. We're not even on Spotify, so I don't know why are you using Spotify? We're not even on there. Spotify's not doing well. They are going. Do you hear that the CEO is, yes, I'm bringing in some people to take over some of my responsibilities? You hear that one?
No, I haven't heard that one.
You know what that means.
Yeah, it means he's out.
He's out. So, the Wall Street is like, you suck. You spent $1 billion and it didn't work. Now, John, the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group could have told him that because we spent other people's money trying to make it work at Mevio and Podshow, and guess what? It doesn't work. We figured it out the hard way. Well, actually, it was easy for us.
Well, you figured it out. It wasn't the hard. That's the easy way to figure it out.
It wasn't our money.
Yeah, but figuring it out the hard way is losing your ass on the deal.
We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, though. we had. I still have some of those shares. Paper.
Yes, that's good. It was good. Frame them.
They could. Yeah. Okay. Now, another way to track us and to stay in touch, which now is even more important than ever, seeing as Elon Musk has limited what you can do on Twitter. And if you don't have a Twitter account, if you're not logged in, you won't even see a link. I think this is a mistake. I think he's made an error here.
No, tell me again.
Okay, so he's done two things. One, if you are non-verified, like myself, you get 600... I think it's 300 posts a day you can read. No, 600. If you're new, like within a month, i.e. probably a bot or a scammer or a spammer, you get 300 posts you can see a day. Now, if you're verified, then you get 6,000. So if you're verified means you pay him, then you can see 6,000. So that's one. Up in arms.
That's a huge mistake.
Can I just reiterate what I said, that Elon Musk would ruin Twitter? I think it's coming true.
Well, we'll see.
The next part is, well, he cut off the API access. You can't use any other apps. I used to be able to.
That was a mistake.
Post automatic. No, you can, but you have to pay thousands of dollars a month.
That's a jip.
Yep. That's a big jip. Now, if you're not logged in and there's a link to a Twitter post, unless you are logged in, it'll just take you to the login page. So you won't actually see whatever that post is without without logging in, without being a
member. I can't just casually look at somebody else's. So in other words, wait a minute, this isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
So in the olden days, if someone had blocked you,
mm-hmm.
and you wanted to see their tweets, you could just
you could log out and then look at them. Yep,
and then look at their tweets. Yes. It was just that easy.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Oh, that's no good.
And people use I'm against Elon. I'm using Knitter. And Nitter.
Yeah, Knitter. Yeah,
that doesn't work anymore.
Oh, really?
No, of course not. The API, you can't scrape. The API is gone. No, I think he's making a huge mistake here.
Well, he better, whatever his scheme is, and we think we know what it is with the money thing, he better execute it quickly, because this is not good. These maneuvers are not healthy for this site.
Well, it is healthy he's lowering cost. I think he's lowering cost. There's so much cost involved in this thing. So maybe that's part of the move here, is to use a little less bandwidth, a little less processing power. He says, well, there's so much scraping and scamming going on, and, people are stealing my stuff. Yeah. He better hurt. You know what he needs? He needs Fed now. He needs Fed now. Christina landed. Good news. So to circumvent all of that bull
she
crap,
landed in New York?
Yeah, New York, yeah. To circumvent all of that bull crap, you just follow us on noagendasocial.com, which is, at least you have a chance at following us, through by being a member of our community or following us from a Mastodon instance that allows you to connect with us. And if not, you can always set one up yourself, $5 a month, masto.host, I think. Just don't call anything No Agenda, because he'll block you. So many tards. And follow Adam at noagendasocial.com and John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com. I think one of the things that has got us long notes, maybe my fault, but I've told people how the value for value model works. It's good to reiterate it from time to time. We have never had commercials. We've never had any kind of creepy corporate money. We never promote products. If we like a product, we'll talk about it endlessly if it's an outstanding product. And if we don't like it, we won't talk about it. So some products have just become staples in our own lives. We don't have to promote. There's no native ads here or anything. It's dishonest. We are completely honest, and sometimes even the honesty is hard for people. We say, hey, donations are down, help us out. But the value for value model is very simple. There's no paywall, no passwords, no premium freemium model, nothing like that. You don't have to be a member of the Patreon.
We don't have special episodes.
Don't have special premium special episode only for members. No, you get it all.
No, that sucks, by the way. That's really
it's
rude.
The worst. Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. So you can listen to us forever for free. Now, we portend that there's value to what we're doing, and everybody gets some kind of. You have to be getting some value from it if you're listening. Otherwise, what kind of life do you have? You listen to stuff that's invaluable to you. Now, whatever that is, it could be very little value or a lot of value, and we can't determine what your value is. Just send that back to us. Time, talent, treasure. For some, treasure. For most, actually, treasure is the easiest because everybody can pony up some money somehow. You can do it once a year for all we care. Do it once a show.
A lot of people do once a year.
Yeah, and that's fine. We love it. And we have enough people that once a year.
I think that people who do it once a year should do it more.
Well, I agree, but it's okay. We're leaving it up to you. That's always been the way we've done it. And because people are realizing how valuable it is, they're like, I'm going to send them some money, and I'm going to tell them how valuable that it is in 800 words or more. But we appreciate it, but it does eat up a lot of valuable airtime that we'd like to use for more show. So just saying that. Now, we have many other time and talent contributions. The one we always like to highlight is the work that the artists do. We have many artists who contribute to noagendaartgenerator.com, so we can have a hot piece of art for each individual episode. We think it pops. We think it's good for the social media. It's good for promotion. People are like, oh, what is this? What's going on? You look at your podcast app. All of a sudden, there's something new. It's not the same boring old image. People tap on that. It gets people interested. It reminds people that we are the best podcast in the universe. And if you question that, it's in the Durham Report. Go ahead and take a look. So we want to thank Nico Syme. Pretty much a unanimous decision. It was. I mean, you said it.
No, it was debatable.
No, we debated, but
you said it. It violates one of my rules.
It does violate a rule. Yes. Which rule did it violate?
The rule is a gruesome or ugly image.
Gruesome image. Yes, very gruesome.
But my comment was, it's funny. It's not gruesome. It's funny, and especially with the antenna on the head.
The antenna made it less gruesome. This was the. A lot of people did mosquitoes.
Yes.
A lot of people tried different mosquito gags. I kind of like Darren O'Neill's mosquito robot. You went, nah, didn't like that.
The noise I made?
Yeah.
Where's the mosquito robot? Where is that?
It's down below. It's next to the pride flag. Let's just face it, we're probably not going to do a pride flag. Probably not. There was a Bill.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
There was a Bill Gates mosquito, which actually probably deserved a little more discussion.
Yeah, maybe. I just like this mosquito. It's well done. It was. It's dimensional. It comes out of the image. He's got the hand over the no agenda. It's like
there's some dimensionality.
That's important.
There was an issue. Yeah.
It's modern looking, and the mosquito was funny. Funny mosquito.
It was
funny in a gruesome way.
Funny in a very gruesome way. Was there anything else? It was. But you know what? No one did the ball gag strap. That was
there's a ball gag down there on the duck. Ball gag Biden.
Yeah, but not the way it should have been done.
No, it should have been Biden with a ball gag.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a contender.
It would have been.
The duck is actually pretty funny. Why didn't I see it? It wasn't that clear. Dame Kenny Ben did that. The Biden duck. I
think you would have complained that Biden-Harris was too small to read.
If she'd made the duck, the whole thing just bigger, it would have, and maybe turn the duck head just a little bit more towards the view angle. I think I would have stood tall for that one. I'm thinking.
It makes you wonder.
What do you mean it makes you wonder?
Makes me wonder. What is this? You get this S&M image with a tight leather and a neck thing and a ball gag, and you're going to promote it.
Yeah, why not? That's hilarious.
What's going on in your house there in Fredericksburg?
Hey, man, Moms for Liberty. What can I tell you? All right, everybody. The last part of our 3 T's is the treasure, and we love to thank our executive and associate executive producers early on in the show, just like Hollywood does. You get a credit. Oh, man. We watched the movie last night and almost turned it off because all the credits were at the beginning. When is the last time you saw one of those?
I watch a lot of old movies where you see that a lot.
But you know what movie this was?
What?
Tar.
It's the new Tar.
Kate Blanchett.
Was the movie any good?
Holy crap.
Holy crap, what?
Dynamite. A great movie.
Well, she's a great actress.
Out of control. The whole movie is, first of all, it's about the classical music industry, which, of course is probably worse than rock and roll when it comes to intrigue and...
It could easily be, yes.
But it's also kind of a ghost movie. I don't want to give it away, but it's really good. The first 20 minutes is like, what is the credits? We're like, if these credits don't stop, we're not even gonna watch this thing. And then the first 20 minutes, which turns out is all kind of important just to set it all up, but then it gets good. And Kate Blanchett, award-winning performance. I definitely award-winning performance. Great movie. So just like Kate Blanchett, you can have a credit on IMDb. Go ahead and take a look at imdb.com and look for No Agenda. You see almost 800 different executive and associate executive producers who have been accepted there because these are real credits. You can also put on your LinkedIn. And let's just get started by thanking our first executive producer, Jeannette Dulac from Veenendaal in the Netherlands with 1,052. And a long note, but okay, she's going to become a dame, so here we go. Thank you for a great show. I'm addicted. It's from the Netherlands. Since it's my birthday, I'll be 52 on a show day, July 2nd. I thought it was a good reason to donate today. My wonderful husband made it possible for me to become an Insta-dame on my birthday. I would love to be called Dame Jeannetje of the Woodwall, lover of dirty jokes. Is it Jannetje? Oh, Dame Jannetje, I think. Jannetje. Yeah, Dame Jannetje. Very Dutch. May I have the following jingles? I'll give you the whole load. I'm going to come, little girl, yeah, and respect. At the round table, I'd love some oysters and champagne, please. And she says it was Ingrid van Kuik who hit me in the mouth nearly 3 years ago. We went to the same yoga class. Our teacher was in real fear over COVID. One day, I just could not take her fear-mongering anymore. I had to tell her some truths about COVID. No, I bet that worked out great. After the class was finished, Ingrid came to see me straight away and hit me in the mouth. There you go. The people who yoga together with No Agenda.
So she had the goods on COVID, but not by listening to the show?
Correct.
And the other woman spotted it and said, "You should listen to the show.
Yeah,
you're on the right track already."
Isn't that great?
That's amazing.
I think I don't know if it's amazing. I think it's
amazing.
It's amazing. Hold on, so I'm setting up her jingles at the same time here. Then she goes on to say, Ever since then, we've become great friends with her and her husband, Wilco. Together, we've been to a few really nice meetups. Since connection is protection, we intend to go to many more. Gitmo Nation in Holland is great. Can I please request some karma to promote Ingrid and Wilco's business, designerwand.nl en ingk.nl. Spatwanden en muurdecoratie voor huis en tuin. Designerwand levert prachtige muurdecoratie voor huis en tuin. Pimp je keuken, badkamer, woonkamer met onze stralende ontwerpen. Designerwand.nl. What are we doing? I'd also like to take this opportunity to tell my friends, Dutchie and Carrie in Victoria, Australia, how proud I am of them for resisting all the mandates. They ended up losing their jobs, but never gave in to the tyranny. Please let them know how much I respect and love them. Love for all you do. Thanks for all you do. Love and de groetjes, Jeannette Dulac. And I need the respect. Where's the respect? I thought I put respect in there. Hold on a second. Let me just grab respect. How did I not put respect in? Respect is so important. Okay. And here we go.
I'm going to give you the whole load today.
I'm going to come.
Yay!
RESPICT.
You've got karma.
Sir Scovey's up from Charlotte, North Carolina. Happy 4th, gents. No Agenda producers may find interest in the book The Remedy by Thomas Getz, Goetz. The book is an account of Dr. Robert Koch, who proved the existence of certain microorganisms, most notably anthrax and tuberculosis. He goes on about the book. So go check the book out. To tease Cox's Cock story further.
What?
Coke. No, it's not Coke. It'd be Koch. Koch.
Coke. It's the Koch brothers.
That's Koch. Just like Ed Koch, the mayor.
Oh, the mayor.
Louis Pasteur was a fierce rival, and he goes on and he's really jacked up about this book. So go check it out. It's called The Remedy. In this producer's opinion, the No Agenda shows like Koch's microscope, an early scientific approach, a careful examination that reveals facts and truth. Thanks to you both and all the truth-loving producers in the best podcast in the universe. No jingles, no karma. Thank you, Sir Scovey.
Thank you very much, sir. Then we have Kevin Fusco from Pickens, South Carolina, where they booed their senator, Lindy Howe.
Is that a Fusco?
Is it Fusco? Could be. Fusco. It's like Buddy Joey Betafusco. Kevin Fusco. We'll say Fusco. Pickens, South Carolina, where they booed Lindsey Graham. And he says they'll take a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And he says, and this is $510.80. Thank you. Since I never claimed my knighthood status in the madness of show 1500, I'll take claim now, please. Please call me, sir, your honest mechanic of Easley, South Carolina. The mutton mead will settle just fine with me at the round table. Now, to keep this short, I live in Pickens, South Carolina, and was there for the Trump rally. If there's any video of it, you must look it up. The warmongering putz Lindsey Graham came on stage to speak and took a beating. Booze. Did you by any chance grab that?
No, I did not. I did not check that one out.
Do I have it? No. I thought it was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. It's clear South Carolina doesn't like him.
But they keep reelecting him.
Right. This is the point. And to watch him struggle to gain control of the crowd booing was even better. Lastly, the numerology of my donation is the address of my auto repair shop, 5108. If you come by and shop and mention ITM or let us know you heard about us from the No Agenda Show, we'll give you 15% off your next service. That's your honest mechanic in Easley, South Carolina. No jiggles.
No jiggles.
No jiggles. We got no jiggles, man. We got no jiggles for you. Just some hiring yak karma. I'm short-staffed and highly qualified mechanics aren't easy to find right now. Yeah, if you want to have a big career and you want to be successful in America, go to a trade school, become a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic, a welder.
Yeah, those aren't going away.
Yeah, don't worry about...
no robots or AI there.
Thanks for everything, guys, and please do not find an exit strategy. P.S. The Too Many Eggs hard copy is an extremely nice book. Mimi did a fantastic job, tooManyEggs.com. And I was thinking, John, we should get Mimi on that on that Bet Davis show. Patrick Bet Davis.
Yeah?
Yeah, she'd be great. A lot of people watch that.
Okay.
She'd be great on that show. She'd be great.
She probably would be.
Yeah.
You've got karma.
I'm not sure I said it, but Sir Scovey, the Earl of Piedmont, gave 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, very nice.
In fact, I'm sure I didn't say it because I would remember because it's one of my favorite donation numbers. David Trotsky's up from Joliet, Illinois, and he came with a flat $500, and he says, switcheroo.
Uh-oh.
Please pass this credit to my wonderful wife, Paulette, and her new business, foundmyvoice.net. Located in Joliet, southwest of Chicago. She teaches nonverbal autistic children to communicate using the Spelling to Communicate system.
Oh.
Foundmyvoice.net. Okay.
Lovely.
There you have it.
Amy Zipkin is in Greensboro, Georgia. $500. Thank you. Godspeed. I love you guys. Keep it up. Bobby K is Clown World emoji. Thank you very much.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, are you on Twitter? You know, the Clown World?
Does that mean I know what the Clown world emoji is, but what is that?
That means Bobby K is a clown
Is a douchebag?
No, he's a Clown World. I don't know. No, maybe.
Well, we have to get some clarification on this use.
Wait a minute. Is that a clown or is that no, that's heart emojis. It looks like a clown emoji.
Oh, no, that's the face with a bunch of hearts around it. So she's got a crush on him, or they're married.
Oh, well, we almost screwed it up. Okay, Kimosabe. Bobby K is hearts. I got a crush on him. Okay.
Sir Mike's up.
Fixed it.
He's in Las Vegas, Nevada. 486. Amy Zipkin was, I'm sorry.
500, Amy.
Yeah. That was 500. Okay, 486. Sir Mike in Vegas here. Being a bit of a phone geek, I thought this would be a great amount to donate. 486. 486 on your phone is ITM.
Oh,
there you go. 486 ITM. I like it. For jingles, I love to hear Sharpton Sigourney Weaver. Karma for my business would be spiffy.
I'm not sure if it's in this one. Let's see.
Thanks to you, Ed. Is this Groundhog Day?
This is the best one.
We are watching. That was Attorney General Eric Holder, ABDs, about some Republicans at home are already beating the drums of war. Today, the Pentagon refuted that claim. And he said the American people do not want him to, quote, dwindling, they do not want him dwindling his thumbs. You can get a gig as a contortionist. Intravenous fluids and pills coated with gelatin. We don't leave our women or men in uniform behind. It's a monument to the hubris of Dick Cheney. Representative Raul Ara, Labrador. Years of abuse. I personally apologized to Mr. Peebles. Just ask to soon-to-be former Congressman. Democrats are outright jitty. CIA's counterterrorism center. Veteran Affairs Secretary Shinseki. Why do I always mess up his name? Shinseki. I love my critics. I have fun with that.
Well, we got you everyone that's dynamite except
including
what?
Priebus,
yeah.
Rinse Priebus, yeah. Beebus.
Sorry, I don't know which one the Sigourney Weaver is in, so sorry.
Yeah, it'll show up eventually.
Yeah.
Let's go with Billy and Linda Scherer.
I'm sorry, it needs karma. Karma at the end there for sure.
You've got karma.
This is me, No Agenda Shop, Fayetteville, Georgia. That's noagendashop.com, where artists and the shop team up together. They create beautiful products, all the swag and merch. We have no deal with them. We got no contracts. It's been going very well for many, many years. The artist gets a piece. The shop takes a piece. And from time to time, they donate to the No Agenda Show. We love it. noagendashop.com. Also, 486, there's your ITM again in the morning. John and Adam, latest share of No Agenda Shop profits is ready. Today, we've added our very first Sir Paul Couture design and another by Tantanil. Thank you for keeping me sober. I quit the M5M 7 years ago and have not looked back since. Thank you for your courage. And thank you, No Agenda Shop.
486, also the early Intel chip.
There you go.
Billy and Linda Sharer in Lebanon, Texas, Tennessee. 360 says, thank you. Now, here's the one that, this is a mistake on my part. Millennial Fred sent in a note, $350. I'm going to have to dig the note up and use it on the next show. It consists of 2 questions to you.
Why can't you dig it up now and I'll do the next donation?
I have to go downstairs.
Oh, that's the mistake. Okay. Well, that's...
And I'm not sure where it was finally placed.
Can't you have Jay? Isn't Jay in the house?
No, she's not here.
Let's Theo get it. Where's the adorable?
He's playing with mud.
All right, Millennial Fred, we promise, John, we promise we'll do this next show.
Yeah, so just hang in there, Millennial Fred.
Chris is in Streamwood, Illinois, 333.33 in the morning. Gents, thanks for all you do. I completed another cycle around the sun on Saturday, July 1st. Completed. There you go. These tough times are the times we should be donating to help the ongoing support from John and Adam. I could really use some karma for family health and some financial issues going on. See? Financial issues, karma for health, and still donating, supporting the show. Thank you. It will be good either way, but just results of the Bork universe. Would love to hear more of John's recipes. When did you do a recipe?
I don't know. I must have done one once.
Well, so on the next show, you will read the note from Millennial Fred, and you'll have a recipe to share. Here's your karma.
There we
Chris.
Go.
Thank you very much.
You've got
Give me more
karma.
work.
Oh, I'm so
Marcus
sorry.
Kimblowski, before you browse. Marcus Kimblowski in Westminster, Massachusetts. No note, $333.33. He gets a double up karma.
You've got karma.
Lee Purkis is in Birmingham, West Midlands, in the Great Britain. 3:33 in the morning. I heard about No Agenda from your clones at War Mode. War Mode. Give them a consultation session with some of this coin. Interesting. I bought a beach house in March to be the hermit I planned on being. Thank you for the context on data that was in my feed. Whoa.
What? He talks in riddles.
I love it. I need to find out who War Mode is. So apparently there's a show that called War Mode who talk about us. Thanks, dudes.
I don't know.
Whoever you are. No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Dame Finger Mole, Fairview Heights, Illinois. Dame Finger Mole here. This donation is in honor of my smoking hot hubby, D. Vonderhaar. Today, 6/29 is our 13th wedding anniversary, and 3/31 was our first date. Been going strong ever since, and we never had a fight. I love you, sweetheart. Love you guys, too. Bye.
Lovely. We go to Tacitus Kilgore. Tacitus Kilgore, Tucson, Arizona, 269.69. And, of course, ask for the 69.69 and Obama mariachi jingle and a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
In the morning, comrades. Been listening since Adam's second Rogan appearance. Rogan donation. This donation amount is for the amount of times John hits his mic during the show.
269 times?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
Last show was off the hook. I didn't say a single thing. I'm also making this donation to announce a new meetup in Tucson. Coming soon, the Tucson Wild West Side meetup at Whiskey Roads. Expect to see it on noagendameetups.com between mid-July and early August at the latest. All single female producers under 30 highly encouraged to attend. Ladies, it's a trap. At least one single 26-year-old, 6'1", non-drinker, non-smoker, non-vapor producer with steady employment will be there. Wink, wink. Ladies, it's a must visit. There's eligible dudes. After my jingles, I would like John to give me his mic a healthy swat so producers who claim they don't hear it have something to reference, followed by a relationship goat karma. Stay safe to Tacitus Kilgore.
69, dudes.
Okay, you know what? No. Hey, no. Come on.
All right. Time for your SWAT.
Here it comes.
You've got karma.
Somehow it was a little disappointing. I'm not sure.
Well, I could have made it hit with something like this.
No, it's more annoying than it doesn't really sound like.
How's this?
Yeah, no, none of that's really doing it for me. Thanks.
Millennial paralegals from Eagle Mountain, Utah. Needs Screw Your Freedom, followed by Two to the Head and Gathering of... What? Which one's this?
We don't have a Gathering of the Juggalos.
Gathering of the Juggalos, Karma.
We don't have a Juggalos Karma.
I don't think so.
No.
Well, just Karma. No Agenda provides a lot of value, but what I value most is how we actually are the producers. You quickly respond to my boots-on-the-ground reports, play clips I send you, and truly let me produce the show with my time and talent. By the way, he came with $217. I can produce without even donating? Where else can you find this? Having us produce the show is easily the most valuable service you provide. Producers can correct you, which they're happy to do, guide you, which they're happy to do, and find countless ways to benefit Gitmo Nation, as I've tried to do since Adam's first Rogan donation.
Appearance.
Rogan donation, number 1. Here is some obligatory treasure to keep the wheels turning and show my appreciation. Thank you for your courage, Millennial Paralegal.
Screw your freedom.
Whoa.
You've got
That's what happened. A whole bunch of things went at once. Sorry, slippery fingers. My mistake. Up next, Sir Ichabod in Shymkent. Shymkent, Kazakhstan. Hello, Kazakhstan.
Wow.
There you go. $210.16 switcheroo. This is for Bucky Larrow in the morning. Crackpot and Buzzkill. Bucky Larrow was a faithful listener from the early days who always hit people in the mouth. Some of us who have become faithful regular donors, knowing Bucky had an anonymous $33 a month subscription, but I never heard his name called out on the donation segment. No, we don't mention anybody under 50 for reasons of anonymity. Unfortunately, he was taken from us by a massive heart attack. Oh, well, that sucks. Please accept this donation of $210.16 in his name, which works out as 2 boobs plus an extra 50, because everybody should be some sort of executive producer at least once in their life or afterlife. He needs a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
He needs a classic, oh boy. Do we have this? The classic, bless you, the classic JCD boobs jingle?
Boobs. Boobs.
Oh, I have it here. I actually have it. I have it. And a class, let's see, a de-douching JCD boobs jingle, classic goat karma to help him pass from douchebag purgatory into no agenda nirvana. Miss you, Bucky. Thank you for your courage, Sir Ichabod of the Bike Path Gorbel, currently in Shymkent, Kazakhstan. That's beautiful, man. Thank you very, very much for doing that.
Boobs, 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 boobs.
You've got karma.
Dave in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania. 20139. My first accidental donation was 3 minutes ago for the $33 subscription. Now here's more so I can call out my boss, Jim, who turned me on to the pod, but hasn't ponied up. Douchebag. So shit, producer Dave.
Erica Kuchig. What do you think? Is it a tough one? Kochig. Kochig. Koechig, Kochig, Erica Kochig. Marietta, Georgia, $200 associate executive producership. It's that time of year. Hogan is turning 7 on July 4th. Fifth, time zone problems when your son is born in China. Hogan still thinks everything's a scam, and his number one wish is go Hogan. And his number one wish is to finally meet Uncle Adam and Uncle John at a meetup. Well, I don't know if it'll happen in China, but if you come back over, if you're in Marietta, Georgia, maybe one of these days.
Yeah,
thank you so much. He's on the list, of course. Thank you, Erica.
All right, last associate executive producer will be Linda Lupatkin in Lakewood, Colorado. Jobs, karma for all your producer job hunters out there. After a competitive for a competitive edge, go to imagemakersinc.com for all of your executive resume and job search needs. Or just find Linda Lupatkin under the show's executive producer list and run a search.
Yes, and that wraps up our executive and associate executive producer. Oh, wait, jobs, karma. You're right.
Jobs and jobs. That's good for jobs.
You've got karma.
There you go. That wraps up the associate executive producers and the producers, executive producers for episode 1569 of the best podcast in the universe. These are lifetime credits. You can use them anywhere. Credits are accepted and recognized. If anyone questions them, we will be very happy to vouch for you. Thank you again for supporting the best podcast in the universe.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Squirrel! Shut up, slave! Shut up, slave!
That was actually not too bad. I enjoyed every single one of those notes. I like.
Now you're encouraging them.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm sorry. That was a big mistake I just made there. All right.
Here's an interesting little tidbit I got.
A little tidbit.
You know, the Supreme Court did all these things, got everybody all bent out of shape.
I actually have a couple of those clips, yes.
I just have this one, well, maybe I have two, but I wanted to play this one because there's a tidbit in here that nobody else reported on. This is the gay web designer tidbit.
We have another major ruling from the Supreme Court this morning. A Christian web designer is allowed to refuse to make same-sex wedding websites. The court found Colorado's anti-discrimination law violated the web designer's rights. The court ruled 6-3 in favor of web designer Lori Smith. The decision takes power away from states' public accommodation laws when applied to artists. 5 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of another business just miles from Smith's business. That was a wedding cake maker who refused to make a cake for a gay wedding.
Remember that? The wedding cake, it was right down the street.
Well, of course, because this is all just to antagonize. I mean, the American way of handling this, when someone does not want to make your gay cake, your trans cake, your black cake, whatever cake it is, is to start your own cake company and clean up. But that's not what this is about. This is all political. And there's one reason for this. Yes. And of course, the whole point is NBC's Meet the Press.
How concerned are you about the direction of this conservative court? And does Congress have any sort of role to try and rein in what you and your fellow progressive colleagues feel is a problem?
Well, I'm very concerned because these three cases together have some things in common. And one of the things that jumps out at me was the aggressive way in which this court granted standing for the plaintiffs. Standing is a legal term. What restrains the court from just becoming its own legislature to deciding questions before it willy-nilly is this idea of standing. There has to be a real something really at stake for the plaintiff. They really have to be harmed. So in the case of student loans, several states' attorney generals brought the cases forward against President Biden's student loan relief. Hard for them to prove that their states or that they were being harmed. So it came down to a loan processor named Mohila, which is not even a state, to say, well, if President Biden relieves all these students from these onerous loan payments, they're going to make less profit from processing those loans. they turned that into standing for the several states.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this was about one of the three cases that were in the Supreme Court of the United States. One was the gay wedding cake, or LGBTQ clients. Here's a clip about that.
There was a gay wedding website.
Website.
And in another ruling today, pitting the right to free speech against the right to be free from discrimination. The court ruling in favor of a graphic designer, Lori Smith, who says she wants to make wedding websites, but not for gay couples.
Whether you share my beliefs or completely disagree with them, free speech is for everyone.
The 6 conservative justices concluding Colorado state law prohibiting businesses from discriminating against customers would force Smith to create speech she does not believe, drawing a line between what the state conceded was Smith's artistic expression and a more basic business like a restaurant open to all. The state blasting the decision.
This decision is not what our Constitution, what our democratic republic stands for. Our work to protect equality and to limit the damage from this decision will start today.
Justice Sotomayor, for the second time this week, reading her dissent from the bench for nearly 20 minutes, calling the decision profoundly wrong, saying the effect is to mark LGBTQ citizens as second-class status.
Then there was the affirmative action case. Now, let's discuss these one by one, actually. So the difference between the website and the wedding cake, which I really don't see, but the difference between the website and the wedding cake is you're forcing me to write or say words or express myself creatively. It's not the same thing as refusing to serve a gay person a sandwich in a sandwich shop. Am I understanding this?
I think that's about right. And this case would have been more interesting if the refusal was about putting together a election site for Donald Trump and refusing to do it because you don't like Donald Trump.
But, the thing
now,
is...
what would Ketanji Brown say about that?
Where did you get that idea from? That's a good one.
Out of my head.
Oh, yeah, just straight out of your head. Then we had the college admissions, which was brought by an Asian American who said, hey, it's racist. They're not letting Asians in because we're too smart. Or something like that.
I have the college admissions clip.
Oh, good, because I have all the Supreme
Court.
I have the Supreme Court. I have that too, but if you don't have it,
I don't see it on. I mean, I can't find anything.
Well, now this was, of course, a problem. Let's see. Here we go. This is from NBC.
Begins with me. Adversity begins with me.
A landmark decision from a bitterly divided Supreme Court, rejecting the use of race as we know it in college admissions. Chief Justice John Roberts leading the 6-3 conservative majority to conclude programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina violated the law, writing the schools unavoidably employed race in a negative manner, involved racial stereotyping, and lack meaningful endpoints.
The polarizing, stigmatizing, and unfair jurisprudence that allowed colleges and universities to use a student's race and ethnicity as a factor to either admit them or reject them has been overruled.
Praise there from the architect of the lawsuits as the decision quickly began to set in on college campuses.
This is a really disappointing decision, not only for me, but for every student on this campus and any student who is planning on applying to college in the future.
So this has immediate impacts.
The schools were accused of giving substantial preferences to Black and Hispanic applicants while discriminating against Asian students. Since the late 1970s, the court had allowed schools to use someone's race as one plus factor in admissions. Today, the justices offering starkly different views of the role race still plays in society.
So this was interesting. Affirmative action is where this stems from, and that has been allowed in higher education. Very polarizing issue for the United States. I think they're asking the wrong question. Is why would you want to go to one of these idiotic schools? What you're going to get a piece of paper that gives you no work. All you can become is stuff that is just not interesting anymore.
I don't know about that.
Oh, please.
The thing that has anybody brought this up, and you're not going to bring it up because nobody brings it up. What's the most populous state with one of the largest university systems in the country?
California.
We have not had affirmative action. It was thrown out in 1996. So this ruling has nothing to do with California. Nobody brings it up. I don't see anybody suffering out here.
Where was this Asian student? What school was this?
That was either North Carolina or Harvard or Yale, maybe. It was one of those schools back east. We gave up on this affirmative action thing in 1996, and nobody has bitched and moaned and groaned about it. And it wasn't brought up in any of the news reports I saw.
That's interesting.
It's affecting all these schools. The giant University of California socialist school system has not said shit about it because it's got nothing to do with them. And why has this completely been ignored?
Because it's about politics, as usual. It's about...
Exactly. It's bull crap is why.
No, they want to... Well, we'll get to why in a moment. But first, let's listen to MSNBC about how the Republicans are to blame for this.
Your thoughts on this misuse of Dr. King to explain what's being done to people of color and other minorities?
Yeah, Joy, it's also exhausting.
California.
I'm leaning on my grandmother's adage of the only time you should be surprised is when you're surprised. We've seen time and time again Republicans and conservatives constantly cherry pick the words of Dr. King to hide behind their own racism and white supremacy. So, yes, this content of their character, I don't want to judge someone by their skin color. Republicans pull that out every single time they systematically take away people's rights. And it's like, well, Dr. King wouldn't have wanted it. It's like, well, first things first, Dr. King was assassinated. And when he was assassinated, he was known as a domestic terrorist, essentially, in your eyes. So let's not hide behind a few sentences that you all want to use every time you take away rights and freedoms from the vast majority of Americans, specifically and explicitly Black Americans.
Who is it? When was he known as a domestic terrorist? He was a what is it called when you sit down, you sit in, you're peaceful, you don't do anything. Yeah, like nonviolent, passive resistance, all that sort of thing. How's he a domestic terrorist? When was he ever called that? She's making this up. Who is that, Joy Reid?
Of course it's Joy Reid.
Why is anyone asking her? She's supposed to be a host. She's not like an expert on the topic.
Because it's all about this one.
And by the way,
yes,
California, which does not have it, since 1996, there's no Republicans behind this scheme. It's Democrats. It's a Democrat state. It's owned and operated by the Democrats. So this is I hate her.
Well, wait until you hear this bit.
Let's just be clear. Clarence Thomas was born in Pinpoint, Georgia. He is of the Gullah extraction. Yep. He didn't even speak English until he was 7 years old. He spoke the Geechee tongue and was so afraid to speak in front of white people because he was always told, don't speak Geechee in front of white people because it would embarrass you, that he almost never spoke at all. Mm-hmm. There was a white nun, whose largesse helped get him through school and get him those good grades. He has been assisted by white patrons, really his whole life, even now by very rich ones, as they fly him around the country. And to your very point, he seems to deeply resent all of the assistance he got, and he wants to make sure that nobody like him ever gets that kind of help again, because it helps his self-image so that he can lie to himself.
Oh, she's
and
a
fool
mind
himself
reader.
And maybe hate himself a little less for having gotten help all along his path to the Supreme Court. And let's be clear, the most important thing to know about his confirmation, other than the fact that he's accused credibly of sexual misconduct, is the polling that got him over the line. And it was the polling that I very much remember. I was one of the few black folk who was against him. Okay. It was the polling that showed that about 7 in 10 black people supported his ascension to the seat once held by the great Thurgood Marshall, and he is not his equal. It was black people's support that got wavering members of that Judiciary Committee
Democrats,
and wavering senators.
They needed Democratic votes. It was a Democratic majority. That's why Joe Biden is in those hearings running. They needed the Democratic votes.
And it was only black people's support in those polls that got wavering Democrats to vote for him. And he has repaid black people with scorn ever since.
Example?
Example?
Well,
he doesn't say anything. The guy never talks.
No, what's an example? She says he's repaid with scorn. Give me one example.
There's no examples. What they want is this.
Something similar happened with affirmative action. A made-up group, Students for Fair Admissions, not even a real student. Unlike the Bakke case in affirmative action, there was not a particular student that was harmed and was granted admission to either Harvard or the University of North Carolina. And in 303, the 303 creative, very hypothetical issue over the digital, creative artists. So look, the court reached out to bring these cases to them. To my mind, very big overreach of power. The way we check that is we need to change the composition of the court.
Yes, change the composition of the court. This Supreme Court is problematic.
So, and when you say change the composition of the court, does that mean that you believe that President Biden just adds to the current roster of 9 justices? Is that the most immediate solution?
Well, Congress has a role in this. Congress, at various times throughout our history, the court has been as large as 15, as small as 7. It's not been 9 for all the time in our republic. Congress has adjusted the size of the Supreme Court several times. And in fact, when the New Deal legislation by President Roosevelt was threatened by an aggressive activist conservative court, he attempted to pass legislation to enlarge the court. It was called a stitch-in time, or switch-in time saves 9.
Get it right.
It was an effort in the 1930s to expand the court. So it's been contemplated before. It has been done before.
And what does it take to do that, John? What does it take to pack the court?
Well, obviously, you have to have the Senate agree to do it, and for them to do that, they have to have 60% of them have to say, yeah, you can do that, which is impossible right now.
Majority.
So the first thing you have to do is a 2-step process.
Okay.
First of all, you've got to abolish the filibuster. Right. So a simple majority would allow this to happen.
Right.
Well, to abolish the filibuster, you need a filibuster-proof Senate.
A super majority.
So you can't do it. It's just that this is all hot air.
But we can still psyop the American people with a CBS original documentary.
An original CBS Reports documentary.
I was entitled to equal pay for equal work under the law.
Does the Supreme Court's power need to be checked?
9 Supreme Court justices, 5 of them said no, she's not entitled. That's not right.
Calls to fix the court tend to go along with the politics of the moment.
Republican-appointed justices have all tended to go in one direction, with the Democratic-appointed justices tending to go in another.
Even though it's only 9 justices, it takes 5 of them to make the law of the land.
Does it have political impact? True. Political intent? Probably not true.
If the American people don't trust the judgment of their court, that's a real problem for our democracy.
A problem for democracy. They don't trust the judgment of the court. Yes. And
so the narrative that the mainstream media and the Democrat Party keep putting together requires this sort of nonsense. And they just never let up.
Well, there's one more piece, and this I think is what it really comes down to. I mean, we all know, okay, affirmative action in schools, whatever, okay, gay wedding cake, a gay website, okay.
Website.
It's really about this.
Tonight, in a major blow to the Biden agenda, the Supreme Court blocking the president's sweeping plan to cancel $430 billion in federal student loan debt. In a 6-3 decision, the conservative majority ruling the administration overstepped its authority by forgiving the debt without approval from Congress. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing the education secretary, did not have the power to rewrite that statute from the ground up. In a dissenting opinion, Justice Elena Kagan writing, this court today decides that some 40 million Americans will not receive the benefits the plan provides because, so says the court, that assistance is too significant. Tonight, President Biden vowing to try again with a new debt relief plan under a different law, the Higher Education Act. But he warned it's going to take time.
We'll use every tool at our disposal to get you the student debt relief you need and reach your dreams.
Vote for me.
It's good for the economy.
Yeah.
It's good for the country.
Vote for me.
Biden's original plan to forgive up to $20,000 for some borrowers was the fulfillment of a campaign promise.
Buying votes.
26 million Americans have already applied for the relief, like Renee Moya, who has $62,000 in student loans and recently took out a new mortgage.
I do feel disappointed. We find ourselves in a situation where, because of that promise, a lot of us, literally tens of millions of us, made decisions with our lives to move forward. Whatever life choices we made explicitly with the understanding that the president was going to get student loan cancellation done.
Starting in October, borrowers will also have to restart their federal loan payments when a 3-year pandemic pause comes to an end. But the president today said those borrowers will not face default for the first 12 months if they can't make those payments, though interest will still accrue. The administration will also roll out a new repayment plan for borrowers that will cap monthly payments at 5% of income, a plan the White House says could save Americans $1,000 a year. Republicans had argued Biden's original plan was unfair to people who already paid back their loans or didn't go to college because of costs. And tonight, Republican presidential candidates celebrating the ruling.
And can I just say, God bless the Supreme Court. They are making a lot of wrongs right.
Late today, the president pressed on whether he gave Americans false hope.
I didn't give borrowers false hope, but the Republicans snatched away the hope they were given, and it's real hope.
Do you think this will make any difference in
Well, this is interesting for a number of reasons. And now we know what the arguments are on both sides. Well, I went and I paid my loan back. Why do they get their loan paid back by my tax money?
You don't have to use a mocking tone. It's a real concern.
I don't know how much of a concern it is. They're going to take our $400 billion, by the way. It's not like chicken feed.
Mm-hmm.
$400 billion stealing, give it to Ukraine. Whatever the case is, they're stealing our money left and right.
Yeah.
This is just another way of doing it. I think that the big argument now between the pundits is, do the voters blame Biden because he promised what he couldn't deliver?
Or
it's going to hurt his campaign, or are they going to do what the Democrats are trying to do, which is blame the Republicans? If it wasn't for the Republicans, the Republicans can point to the Supreme Court that it was their decision, or they can point to the Nancy Pelosi clip. You may have it. I didn't get it, but
I don't.
Nancy Pelosi says he can't do when he first proposed the idea.
Yeah, we have that. The president can't do that. Let me see.
Yeah, play that clip. She says the president can't do this because it's illegal. You have to ask Congress. And in fact, if Biden had asked Congress, this is my argument, by the way, you're going to hear now.
Here's the clip. You want to hear the clip?
Yes.
People think that the president of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress. And I don't even like to call it forgiveness because that implies a transgression. It's not to be forgiven. Just freeing people from those obligations. So the question of who gets forgiven, to use the term of art that is out there, is a debate. Do we use whatever money there is for the broadest base of support of those with more people with even less debt or fewer people with more debt? That's a policy discussion. But the difference between the president can't do it. So that's not even a discussion. Not everybody realizes that. But the president can only postpone, delay, but not forgive.
It's only a minute.
So my thinking is that Biden could have done it correctly, which is go to Congress when he had Congress in his pocket when he first got elected and done the deal, and they would have been passed when she was the head of Congress at the time, and he had the Senate and Congress. Don't forget that when he first got in.
Mm-hmm.
He could have done the deal, but he chose not to. I don't think that he was ever sincere about this.
Of course
he
not.
wanted to hang it out there as a promise to get votes, which he did.
Mm-hmm.
That was before the election. He got the votes. He got elected. Didn't do the deal when he could have with Congress. Let it slide till the Republicans got in. Now he blames the Republicans in hopes of pulling the same stunt, making another promise. He's going to do it, and it's those damn Republicans, and he's trying to get more votes. This guy is a total political creep.
Well, it's one of three guys.
Yeah, one of these three guys.
One of these three guys. And they blame the black guy.
Pulling this stunt. And the idiots that keep voting for him, this is like Lucy in the football. It's the same thing. They're dumb. These voters are stupid to buy into this.
I love how they blame the black guy in the Supreme Court. It's his fault.
And then they blame this one black guy.
All right, let's look at the other side of the pandering and bull crap. Let's go to Ukraine.
Former Vice President Mike Pence made a surprise visit to Ukraine yesterday to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The 2024 Republican presidential candidate has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine and is the first in the crowded field of contestants to meet Zelensky during the war.
ABC had a little bit longer report, only 44 seconds, though.
There's news coming in tonight from Russia. One of Vladimir Putin's top Russian generals is missing. Ian Pannell reporting in now from Ukraine.
Ooh. David, a U.S. official tonight confirming to ABC News that top Russian General Sergei Surovikin has been detained after that failed mutiny attempt in Russia. It comes after a U.S. official claimed that Surovikin had advanced knowledge that Wagner chief Evgeny Prigozhin was planning to march on Moscow. Meanwhile, former Vice President Mike Pence made a surprise visit to Ukraine today, the first Republican presidential candidate to do so. Pence meeting with Zelensky, vowing continued support for Ukraine amid talk among some in the Republican Party questioning how much aid the U.S. should be providing to Ukraine.
Yeah, Pence actually had to hurry up and get over there because Greta was on her way. She was taking the train, and Greta met with Zelensky. We don't have any audible clip, but she was there because she's very concerned that the war is possibly bad for the environment. She met with him, but this Russian general story. This is really good. This is what brings it all. The mutiny on Moscow. It brings it all closer to home. Putin's in real trouble.
About the only thing that we know for sure right now is that top general Sergei Surovikin was detained. A U.S. official confirming that much to CBS News, but the details really stop there. It is really not currently clear whether Surovikin was put under formal arrest, was released after some questioning, or, as some of his family members have said to Russian media, is out and about and working as usual. The news of his detention comes, as you said, U.S. intelligence indicate he may have had some foreknowledge of this rebellion led now 1 week ago by Wagner Group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, and there are open inquiries as to whether he may have been, in fact, a supporter of that effort, which appeared, of course, designed to potentially overthrow elements of the Russian military's leadership. That, like many things, is an open question at which, the U.S., Western, and very clearly Russian intelligence officials are taking a very close look. As for the concerns about a potential purge at this stage, you do see President Putin working very concertedly now to reconsolidate power, to squash dissent, but think that, uncovering a vast conspiracy to overthrow the government would acknowledge that one was allowed to spread in the first place. So you can expect the Russians to tread very carefully there.
And the CIA is now on Insta with
they have an account
with they have an hold on. What you went to left channel only all of a sudden? That's interesting. Yeah, they have an account, CIA, and they have a Tor link to their website, and they are instructing Russians how to contact them because there's probably about 2 million people who want to become CIA agents inside Russia now. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's military intelligence agency says Russia is reducing its personnel at the occupied Zaporizhia nuclear power station. Ukraine yesterday conducted nuclear disaster drills near the power plant. Earlier this month, Kyiv accused Russia of planning a terrorist attack at the nuclear power plant, which is the largest in Europe. Moscow has denied those accusations.
There you go.
Get out. Get out of there.
Exactly. Get out while you can. How about China? This is the last thing we probably have to talk about today is what's going on in China. I'll kick us off with, let me see. I'll kick us off with, good news.
The State Department has greenlit a potential sale of up to $440 million worth of ammunition and logistics support to Taiwan. The Pentagon notified Congress of the approval yesterday, which is expected to be conducted in two separate deals. Taiwan says the aid and ammunition would boost its resilience against China's, quote, expanding threats of military tactics, which it says poses a serious threat to its security. The sale would include high explosive and training rounds, while the logistics support would assist in buying parts for vehicles and weapons.
You got anything on China?
The only thing I have on China was kind of an interesting story that wasn't played up. So it's kind of a social media story. There was a junket of a bunch of these influencers to China, which is, these junkets are common, but I guess these influencers don't know how to handle it. I've had my advice. I've given it out. If they listen to our show, they know what to do. And it was done by Shen. And you can play these clips. This is like Shen.
Who's Shen? Who's Shen?
You don't know Shen?
No, I don't know Shen. Who's Shen?
Shen is that website that sells clothes by the billions of dollars, maybe daily. Sweaters, anything you want, you can go SHEIN. Most women know about this website. And the only reason I found out about it was I was watching some daytime talk show, and I checked it out. It's unbelievable. And this stuff, you buy all this stuff, and this is one of these deals. It gets shipped from China right to your door. Mm-hmm. No duty, no nothing, even though there should be technically in some ways because it's machine made, at least a lot of it. And they're just kicking everybody's ass, and everyone's freaked out about Shen ruining the reason Macy's is going out of business is because of Shen and one other company, Temco or some other. You there?
Yes, I'm here. Keep going.
And so there's one other company, there's Shen and one other, but Shen is the big one, SHEIN. People should go, buy something from them and bring down the Western civilization.
Or
he's
the publisher of the Journal of Political Risk. He joins us now to discuss the backlash that fashion company Shein faced after flying in social media influencers for public relations. It's great to have you with us, Anders. What do you make of this?
Well, social media influencers, the TikTokers, basically, and other types of social media influencers, flew to China. Shein paid for them to fly to China, I believe, and they were surprised by the public backlash. They were toured around in different factories. They were, it appears that they were expected to report positively on Shein. One of the influencers said that she was an investigative journalist, which of course was not probably the case technically. The backlash was brutal online. These influencers apparently did not know that, all the bad things that are happening in China in terms of forced labor, genocide, and they just didn't cover that. And then their followers, who were smarter than them on these issues, did cover it.
So maybe you can help make sense of this. Why do you think these influencers would highlight these fancy robots and the clear stacks of packages and all these rows of happy workers if maybe that wasn't in fact what's really happening behind the scenes?
Well, they were flown in to China at China's expense or at Shein's expense. And when that happens, you feel people naturally feel like they want to return the favor. And this is the big problem with these kinds of boondoggles. And China doesn't just do it with a company like Shein. They do it with U.S. congresspersons. They've done that in the past. They've done it with U.S. military officials.
Yeah.
So this is like somehow it's exploded on social media as a big deal. Personally, having seen these junkets, which is more than a boondoggle, it's a junket, and experienced them firsthand, I just don't get what the big deal is about. So I have to assume that there's some, again, I hate to say it, but there's some op going on where these people were excoriated.
Of course, there's an op going on.
There's an op going on because they go to Shen, to the factory. I went to these, I can name the companies, but there's a bunch of them. You go, you see the factory. Oh, yeah, there's a factory. How about that? And then you report back because you didn't get to go see the Uyghurs.
No.
You didn't get to go see anything but this factory, and then so that you report on the factory, or you don't. You don't have to. I mean, there's no rule that you have to. That's bull crap. And you try to talk to people there and see what you could find out. For example, when I was at the Samsung, had a factory. It was a Samsung? No, Acer. Acer had a factory in Suzhou, China. They shipped us there. And it was and we look at the keyboard factory. I don't know, it seems like a lot of money to spend for somebody to look at a keyboard factory. But I asked the guys about the keyboard factories. That's when I learned the workers made $25 a week. And the guy who was the foreman of the keyboard factory said to me, yeah, he says, we're trying to get rid of them and put in robots. And I said, well, are they too expensive? He says, oh, no, they make mistakes. It's like a real problem. He says that robots will be a lot better. We'll get rid of all these employees, I think, and he kind of indicated throughout China they're going to do this, which kind of belies the China population, going downhill and all the rest of it, because they're putting robots in everywhere. And so I learned something. And, I reported on it, and that was that. Something's wrong with this story, because I don't get the backlash part of it unless it's been set up by one of our people, by our State Department.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me, now would it?
So you just send some jerk-offs from Instagram and TikTok posters, you ship them to China and back. So what? Let's play part two.
The big U.S. corporations that come into China, the CEOs I believe they're given sweetheart deals to promote China.
I believe.
And also a lot of these executives, including around the world in Germany and other places, are the biggest lobbyists for China that are out there because they're the ones making the big money. So, the Shein situation is the world politics and microcosm in terms of China and the U.S.
And in light of this, Anders, I want to read a statement that Shein put out. He said, the trip reflects one way in which we are listening to feedback. Their social media videos and commentary are authentic, and we respect and stand by each influencer's perspective and voice on their experience. So what should we make of this?
That's propaganda. I mean, what's really happening in China is a Uyghur genocide, forced labor, and Shein and other Chinese companies want to pretend like this is not happening. And in fact, it's illegal in China for people, companies, businesses to get this information out. They don't let people into regions like Tibet and Xinjiang where there are these atrocious human rights abuses, and instead they bring the influencers to some fancy factories that are today's Potemkin villages.
Yeah, Potemkin villages.
That's my China report.
I love your China report. I'm going to have to get into our second donation segment right now because I've got two kids who are looking to be stuck in New York City.
Well, those are the worst places to be stuck.
At the airport, I don't know.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
We have quite a few people to thank in the second half, starting with Daniel Posselt in Green Bay, Wisconsin, or Posselt, 13333, and his birthday coming up for his kid, and he's got that's money toward his kid's knighthood. Baronet has Salty in Manchester, New Hampshire, 12345. They, them, Sir, they, them.
Sir, they, them.
In Portland, and where else but Portland, Oregon, of course. 10101. Polly Robbins in San Anselmo, California. 100. Colin Whiddon, or Whiddon in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. From Three Brothers Bagels. $100. Shop's opening next month. Baron Latikin in Houston, Texas, 100. Ron Chambliss in Attica, Indiana, 100. Boom. Sir Kevin McLaughlin, again, Locust, North Carolina, 8008. Why fool around? Olivia Frisco in Tallahassee, Florida, 8008. And this is a switcheroo for a douchebag boyfriend on his 26th birthday. Please de-douche him.
You've been de-douched.
I don't know if she knows this for a fact, but she does say that Nancy Pelosi's a lizard. Joni Perkins in Gobles, Michigan, 8008. And we got Patrick on the birthday list. Kelly Conway in Sayville, New York, 8008. Matthew Snyder in San Francisco, 8008. Paul LePian in Satsuma, Alabama, 8008. A lot of 8008s today. Sir Michael in Snohomish, Washington, 8008. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 7694. Now, this is interesting. There's all these donations for 7694. What do you think that is?
769. I don't know.
I'll tell you.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I don't know.
7423 is the donation.
Yes, I know that.
PayPal has added a box you can click to pay the fees.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice.
And it comes to 7694.
Well, how about that? I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Sir Kevin McLaughlin's on this list, 7694. And he, Stephanie Schmidt in San Francisco, 7694. Kevin McLaughlin in Locust, 7694. Rita Harrington in Sparks, Nevada, 7694. Sir Archduke Dreb Scott, our buddy, 7694. Sir Russ, Grants Pass, Oregon. These are all 7694s. And Robert Shepard, Medford, Oregon. Jeffrey William in Broomfield, Colorado. Diane Schwanbeck in Johnsburg, Illinois. And Clay Bacheveche in Miami, Florida. Brian Kaufman, Scottsdale, Arizona, 7575. And then we go to 7469 from Christian Moreno in Costa Mesa. 7464 from Marcella Barden, and that's a birthday. And Baron Raleigh Hawk in Anna, Illinois, 7423. And this is the regular donation for Independence Day without the fees. Baron of Belmont in Belmont, North Carolina, 7423. These are all 7423s. Clayton Peterson in Colorado Springs. Christopher O'Rourke, Oaklawn, Illinois. Lydia Terry Dominelli in Clifton Park, New York. And Zach Sivak Sivak in San Diego needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Last on the 7423 list is Paul Beckwith, and he is in Bothell, Washington. Jim Zuckel comes in from 6969 from Beverly Hills. Sir Johnny B. in Colorado Springs, a switcheroo donation for a smoking hot wife, Dina, and a birthday call out coming for her. Dame Stephanie in Chandler, Arizona, 6006. Sir Richie Rich, 6006. Birthday coming up. Sir B&A in Nashville, Tennessee, 5993. Sir Tom Dari in DeForest, Wisconsin, 5510. Troy Funderburk in Spokane, Washington, 55. Sir Dancing Mike in Maryville, Tennessee. There's a damehood for Sir Dancing Mike. You might want to read that.
Yeah, can you read it for me?
Sure. This is a birthday and damehood donation from my smoking hot wife, Denise Delosier. Rhymes with enclosure, who will be celebrating her 53rd birthday on July 5th. So she's getting a damehood.
Yes.
Says thank you. Dame Night in Edmonds, Washington, 50-15. Scott Nelson in Council Bluffs, Iowa, 50-01. Cowtown Poultry in Fort Worth, 50-01. And the following people are all $50 donors, and we'll wrap this up. Simon Smith in Heber City, Utah. Kyle Mann in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ryan Sharp in Huntsville, Alabama. Brandon Locklear in Sugar Hill, Georgia. Jill Woods in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. Julie Minadio in Costa Mesa, California. Matt Dixon in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Justin Heiner in Vine Grove, Kentucky. Claire Thornhill in Toronto, Ontario. Dotted Mind in Lincolnshire, UK. Tony Lang in Castle Pines, Colorado. Jordan Hoino in Salem, Oregon. Hino is how you pronounce it. Hino. Mari Fraser in Isle of Lewis, UK. Aichi Kitagawa over here in San Francisco. Brian Watson, Sir Brian in Raleigh, North Carolina. Last on the list is Walker Phillips in San Rafael, California. I want to thank these people for making our special July 4th show a rousing success. Thanks.
And thank you to everyone who came in under $50, usually for reasons of anonymity. But we also have a lot of those sustaining donations. Those are subscriptions. You can make one yourself, or you can go to our handy website for a couple of suggestions.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And here's a service code for everybody who supported us today.
You've got Karma.
And we have a list today. We've got Dame Stephanie, who wishes a belated birthday to Sir Don Francis, celebrated on the 27th. Chris on July 1st, yesterday. Sir Richie Rich turned 60 today. Jeanette Dulac turning 52 today. Peen Bruchemann, 42 today. Joni Perkins wishes her sexy stud husband, Patrick Perkins, a happy birthday, turning 64 tomorrow. Sir Johnny wishes his smoking hot wife, Dina, a happy birthday for July 4th. Marcella Barden turns 59 on the 4th. Erica Kuchik wishes her son Hogan a happy birthday. He's turning 7. Hey, for happy birthday from Uncle John and Uncle Adam on the 4th and or 5th. So Dancing Mike wishes his smoking hot wife Denise DeLozier a happy birthday, 53 on the 5th. Daniel Posselt, her son Rowan, happy birthday from her. And Olivia Frisco wishes her boyfriend Nick a happy birthday. He is turning 26. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes, turn and face the slaves. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
And we have exactly one title change today. Sir B&A becomes the Baron, and of course becomes the Baron of B&A. And congratulations with that. Thank you very much for supporting your best podcast in the universe. We have one night, two dames. That means another triple header blade.
You got the one night, two dame blade. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect one. Up on the podium, Kevin Fusco, Jeanette Dulac, and Denise DeLozy. All of you who supported the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more, thank you very much for that. And I'm very proud to pronounce the as Sir Your Honest Mechanic of Eastleigh, South Carolina, Dame Yannicka of the Woodwall, lover of dirty jokes, and Dame Denise of Maryville. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. Also, we've got some oysters and champagne. What else could you wish for? How about some beer and blunts, some bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, or just some plain old mutton and meat, which seems to be okay as well. And thank you very much. Go over to noagendarings.com. Take a look at those wonderful day men night rings and give us an address where we can send them along with your ring finger size, which is a handy sizing guide there as well. And thank you again for supporting the No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe.
No Agenda meetups.
Oh, yeah, baby. The party. The party is happening today at the Riverside on the Fox meetup at Riverside Pizza and Pub in Batavia, Illinois. That's underway. On Tuesday, July 4th, of course, in the UK, the London Courage took That's what it called. The London Courage took. 7 o'clock at the Mayflower Pub in London. I think we've been there before at one of those meetups. So that's of course not a lot of meetups this weekend because everyone's hanging out with family. But here's a promo for one. Oh wait, this is the Laurel meetup. This is a meetup report.
Coming to you from the Testing the Turnout meetup in Laurel, Mississippi. This is John G. Dew.
This is Mike and Cheese from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. In the morning.
This is Mike. Had a great time here. Thanks.
I'm the audience and I loved it.
And this is Tacos. Adam, MS means Mississippi, not Missouri. Get it right.
All right.
MI is Missouri.
No, it's not. That's Michigan. MO is Missouri.
All right. MO is Missouri.
Many more meetups to come in the month of July. We have them all the way through August listed at noagendameetups.com. Zurich, Switzerland. We have Cannes, France. Oh, Cannes, France has been canceled. Oh, no. I didn't even know who did that one. Oh, that's too bad. Well, we still have Zurich, Switzerland on the 15th. We have Maastricht, the Netherlands on the 21st, and a lot around the United States. If you'd like to find out where you can find one, go to noagendameetups.com. If you can't find one near you, start one yourself.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
A big party indeed.
You win.
What do you mean I win?
You win.
I win what? Oh, you have no ISOs?
Oh, I forgot about them.
Woo, baby! Okay, well, let me see now. I have, oh my goodness, I'm so happy about this. Well, you get to choose from quite a lineup. Hold on.
Well, good. I've got there's some to choose from. That's a plus.
Okay, all right. Well, you can choose from.
No agenda there.
No agenda there. I don't know about
it. Kind of. Well,
no. How about this?
That was kind of rude. Thank you. That was kind of rude. Thank you.
Kind of rude. Thank
I like that one.
Yeah. Okay.
They end up poisoned, imprisoned, or dead.
I'm glad you like that one. And here's the one. Here's a good one.
Listen to No Agenda.
I think that's just a good jingle. I don't know if it's good for the end of the show.
Poisoned, imprisoned, or dead?
They end up poisoned, imprisoned, or dead.
I think the one before it is a better ending of the show.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of rude. Thank you.
Kind of rude, thank you?
Yeah.
You got it. Kind of rude, thank you is on deck.
We're always kind of rude, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Exactly. Surely you have something. I have, wait, do I have... Oh, I have McGregor, and I don't want to play it anymore.
I have a lighthearted clip, which is like, what?
Yeah,
and I actually have two clips. Okay. One is actual information, SAG-AFTRA update, so we can realize that the actors are bailing out on the writers.
And in Hollywood, the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, has agreed to keep talking with the major movie and television studios past last night's expiration of their contract. The union's agreement to extend the deal until July 12th averted, at least temporarily, a second Hollywood strike. Screenwriters have been on strike since May. Currently, there are no negotiations between the Writers Guild and producers. More than 300 actors, including marquee names like Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, and Ben Stiller, sent their union leaders a letter pressing them to negotiate for what they call a transformative deal rather than compromising too soon. SAG-AFTRA members have already authorized the leaders to call a strike. For both actors and writers, the shift to streaming has meant less work and less pay.
Man, Hollywood's falling apart.
They don't know what to do. They're screwed.
And look at us, podcasters, working on the holiday, baby.
Podcasters rule. Now I can go either way. I got a couple last bit. Probably the most interesting sounds like a native ad, but it was on NTD. I don't think they'd have the balls to do them. But
no,
this is just an interesting story because one of these ships is going to sink. And this is the new giant cruise ship. Just listen to the Don't you think?
I don't know. I haven't heard the story. I'm very
but
curious.
I'm just saying, this thing is so big. It's just a monster. Listen to this story.
Set sail in style, the world's biggest cruise ship is set to debut in early 2024. Royal Caribbean International's Icon of the Seas is making a big splash, and it was built in Finland and recently began open sea tests. Weighing in at around 250,000 tons, Icon of the Seas boasts the largest cruise ship water park, over 40 ways to dine, 7 pools, 20 decks, and more amenities. It's also Royal Caribbean International's first ship powered by liquefied natural gas and fuel cell technology.
Well, you know what's going to happen.
I'd like to know what the liquefied natural gas has got to do. I guess the liquefied natural gas, not nitrogen. Yeah, I guess you can. What's going to happen? It's going to crap out or it's going to blow up.
We're going to get a report from Horowitz who's going to be on it.
Oh, Horowitz will be on it, or if not him, McGuinn. Both those two.
McGuinn.
McGuinn is he's worse than Horowitz. He's on a ship right now.
Yeah, but he gets paid to be on the ship, so he does get props for that.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Got to give it to him. That wraps it up for your Gitmo Nation media deconstruction for today. Coming up next, live on noagendastream.com, trollroom.io, and on those brand new apps you should be using from podcastapps.com. The Lotus Effect live with Phoenix and Foam Boy. They're crazy. They just keep going, man. They don't stop. End of show mixes. We've got Sir TJ the Wrathful. We've got, clip custodian Neil Jones. And we've got, just because it's such a classic and it has a line in there, about it's the Trump Bing Bing Bong Bong song. It's too funny. Got to play it again.
Classic.
Coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's a nice day today, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday for the next media deconstruction right here on No Agenda. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Till then, adios mofos, a hooey hooey and such.
Jeb Bush or Hillary or one of these politicians, all talk, no action, all controlled by lobbyists and donors, all controlled by lobbyists and donors, all controlled by lobbyists and donors, people like me from previous months, okay? Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bing. They're going to call me. Not going to be any good. They didn't give me any money. Not going to be any good. They didn't give me any money. They didn't take care of me. I don't need it. I don't want it. I couldn't care less. You are going to love President Trump. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, 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 bing. China from China. And I love China. Nothing wrong with China. I love the Mexican people. They have tremendous spirit. They're taking your job, taking your money, they're taking everything. And I'm going to win the Hispanic vote. It's true. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bong, bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, 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 bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, 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 bong. China from China. You are going to love President Trump. Bing, bing, China from China. You are going to love President Trump. Bing, 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 bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, 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 bong, bong. Bing, 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 bong, bong. Bing, bing, bing. You know what that is, right?
But before I send boxes over I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things. There were many things: shirts, pants, of things, clothing, shoes, pants, golf shirts. There were many things.
So what you're saying is that you're basically a hoarder. You obstructed the FBI and the National Archives. You're basically a hoarder. What? What? And therefore you commingle, man. What? The magazine clippings and stuff. Nuclear secrets with your what? Your shoes. Golf clubs. What?
A little bit of chicken tumors, a Bud Light on a Friday night, a pair of jeans I can tuck just right, and the mainstream up.
It is chicken. It's just chicken grown directly from animal cells in a different way.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It is chicken. Right there.
It's a lie. It is not chicken.
It's not chicken. It's a tumor. What they're doing is growing tumors.
Well, at least they have the texture.
How's it not a tumor? Rebrand it quick.
Chicken tumor.
Tumors.
Just plain old tumors. Tumors in what tonight? We have tumors.
Tumors in wine and butter.
Buttery wine sauce.
It is chicken.
A little bit of chicken tumor, a Bud Light on a Friday night, a pair of jeans I can tuck just right, and the mainstream up.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
They end up poisoned, imprisoned, or dead.